Hello, everybody, and welcome to something that we haven't done for a while. It's a Paintisode. So what's a Paintisode? Well, this is where I sit around and paint something with a couple friends. Other people might be joining us over the night here. People may come and go. Who knows? But Paul reached out to me because he has been gifted some freedom for the weekend. And I'm always happy to hang out with Paul. And I said, it's Paintisode time. So it's Paintisode time. So Paul and I are going to chat and paint and generally provide no content of any real value other than white noise to be in the background while you paint. Does that sound right?
An approximate certainty that you will be no better at anything after this and will likely be dumber. So
that's entirely likely. Yes. Yes.
Tune out immediately if you want any sort of enriching content.
Could go watch a video about something educational. There's lots of people who want to teach you things on YouTube. This is not that. This is us sitting around just chatting about nothing.
Yep, probably getting up and down out of our seat randomly.
This is literally low-end content at its finest.
I'll probably be turning around, looking at my dog. I just got this really cool screen for the painting garage. So now it's not. I don't know if you saw that picture I posted on the PMP, but I'm not kidding. I was very close to blacking out. I was taking one for the painting team that night. It was 120 in here. I couldn't see straight. I was trying to do freehand. And I was like, and so we ended up with this screen solution. And hey, Winston, where'd you go? Now my dog is very confused. He's just hanging out in the front there trying to attack people. He's a 4-pound Shih Tzu. You know how you get a 4-pound Shih Tzu? You tell your girlfriend you can get a dog. That's how you get a 4-pound Shih Tzu.
Well, that's a shame. My wife likes larger dogs, which I am very thankful for. So both of my dogs are well over 50 pounds. So there you go. Tiny dogs are basically the same as ferrets. They're not real dogs. That's what I'll say. So there you go.
Hey.
See, there you go. That's what you get with 4-pound dogs. You get yappiness. And yappiness is not what you want in a dog. It's a bad quality. See? See what you get? That's the inevitable outcome right there.
This is what I have. This is what you're welcome to. An angry chihuahua. Furry-ass chihuahua.
I mean, it's cute. I'm not going to lie. But yes, that attitude is not uncommon. Little dogs always have it the worst. Is the threat properly contained? He's off his headset. As I said, quality content, folks. Check in. This is exactly what you're going to get. So, set your expectations nice and low. That's the important part here.
I'm sorry, were you talking for a while?
I was filling the space, and again promising the continued low quality content. So
hey, you were talking about LVO. I was talking about LVO. So
you're going LVO?
That's the current plan. So I have some other life events going on at the same time, possible new career path and such as that. So the current plan is to go to LVO, but God willing. So I'm gonna go with it as the plan that's what we're doing. So they have both the 40K competition thing, which I think I'll probably go to, mostly as kind of a fluff fun. I'm just gonna put together whatever army I can, go play some games. And I want to see. They're supposed to have a painting competition.
They do. It's the Draconis Awards, and it's a great painting competition.
So we will see what the details are for that. I don't know if you have to qualify to enter or anything like that. So,
you do not.
That may also be on the docket. I don't know. We have some time here, so depending on what I do with the non-painted force I have right now and how much time that takes, I may or may not put a priority on the painting contest. And if I start playing some 40K and I'm ambivalent about it and don't really care that much, I might just do the painting competition. go with some friends and do the painting competition, hang out, and see some games, and do my first one, Vince.
That's awesome, man. That's super awesome. Yes, the Draconis Awards is the full-on painting competition there. You do not have to, there's no pre-qualification. Anyone can enter. The style of it is really good. It's generally judged by, at least one of the judges is Aaron Lovejoy. He comes up from San Diego to do some of the judging. Obviously, Aaron is an amazing, fantastic, skilled painter. Really good dude. I was just talking to him today because we're gonna have him on the show. So, for the hobby focused episodes, as you know well, since you were on one of those. And I am hopeful to, like, in my mind, there's a chance I get out to LVO this next year as well. It's going to depend on how a couple things shape out, but if it's at all possible, I would love to make it out there too.
Yeah,
it's a super great event, and GW is going to be there at LVO in a big way. So it's all in all probably going to be an awesome event. I mean, I'm like, as it stands right now, August is going to be crazy because I'm less than a week away now from going to Gen Con, and then less than 2 weeks after I get back, then it's to DC for Nova. So that's going to be 2 big ones back to back.
Yeah, you doing both those?
Yep.
Are you painting in both those, or what are you doing?
Oh yes, my friend. Oh yes. And I'm bringing as best I can to Nova. I'm hopeful this year. We'll see what happens.
Can you say what you're bringing to Nova, or is that kind of a secret thing? I don't know how that works.
I don't know of anything. That Nova's pretty open about it. It's one of my favorite. In fact, it is my favorite painting competition in the country. Nova is judged by Roman and Rafi from Massive Voodoo. In previous years, Justin McCoy also helped with the judging duties, but I don't think he's going to be there this year. He has a young child, a new family, some new responsibilities, and I think he begged off this year. So I'm not sure who the third judge will be, but it's an extremely like, what do I say? Strict. It's an open competition, so you can be any number of golds, silvers, or bronzes, etc. Right? Like, you don't compete against other people except for the first place.
Okay.
But it's also extremely hardly judged. What I mean by that is they don't put up with crap. Like, if you were in a gold at Nova, like, that is a gold. You have done freaking fantastic work, because there were a couple categories last year that just no one got gold in. Like, it was just like, and there were like, how many entries were there? 300 plus? And there was like no gold in certain categories. Just like, nope, nobody's that good. Sorry, you all should try harder next year.
That's really interesting. I kind of like that model though.
So it's fantastic, because
it's literally just you're judging each individual thing and kind of grading it.
Yep. You're held against a universal standard. Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And like, it's wonderful, because you never feel like, in competitions that only have, say, like a first, second, or third, it's entirely possible that you lose because of a tiebreaker, right? Like, that could happen. It could be that
isn't there always some innate bias in the judging too, right? Like, these are, I mean, sort of like gymnastics, where like these are still human beings judging, right? And it might be they have some slight bias. I mean, obviously you hope it's not a grand bias, but like you said, if 2 are up to snuff, they have to pick one.
Right. And they're gonna fall. It's gonna fall on like human sort of things, right? But here they don't have to pick one.
Yeah, you just
not what happens.
If everyone gets gold, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
Cool. I like that a lot, actually. I like that a lot. I mean, I think there's value to both, right? Not saying one should be the dominant way. I think there's definitely value to both, but I really like that exists. That's excellent. I guess so, in that same vein, I just had to ask real quick. Do a lot of I haven't seen a ton of, as much as I used to be able to kind of check coolminiornot.com fairly regularly, and like it seemed like there was some really high quality painters on there several years ago. Is that still like a site that people use, or not really?
I don't know, man. I've never used it. I don't like it. Like, to be completely honest, I don't find much of a need for it for sharing my work. I think that, like, as far as websites go, most of the best painters have migrated to like Putty and Paint now that that opened up, and like
Okay.
anybody can join. You know, before you had to like it was by invite only, so there just wasn't by necessity there wasn't a large group of painters on it.
Maybe I'll check some of that out. Yeah, I've been looking for. It seems like that's what I guess that must what happened. Like it seemed like the quality on coolmini.com was like it used to be fairly high. Like at a consistent. I'm not saying all the time, but like obviously everyone just put up random garbage. But there's good painters on there putting up very high quality work, and you could kind of go check it out. And I was just kind of wondering where that went.
I think Putty and Paint is a large component of it. I mean, also just like the Evier Metal group on Facebook. Shout out to the Evier Metal group, EAVIR. If you're not in that, you should be. Like it's a fantastic painting group. It really is. And there's a lot of really impressive stuff that gets shared there. And most of the great painters will post there. Like some of the heavy metal people post there, and Richard Gray posts there, and in Evier Metal quite regularly. Richard Gray's the guy. Have you ever seen if you've ever seen the big Warhound Titans or anything that just has freehand that you look at and you weep for where is your God now? Right? Like if you've ever seen any of the Night Titans that have that kind of freehand, that's Richard Gray. His work is inspirational to say the least. It's amazing. So yeah, that's what I would say. Check it. What are we looking at? Are we looking at stuff? Are you sharing things?
I was just gonna start looking at these dudes. I'm not really sure what to do with them.
What are they? Are they Death Guard dudes?
Yeah, they're Death Guard bros. So I'm trying to set up the camera as well so that you can kind of see things, but see where it is.
I just threw an invite at Maroc. I want you to know that, so he's going to be coming in a minute. Our old buddy Maroc, joining us from north of the wall.
Oh Lord, is that a Canadian?
He's a Canadian, yes.
One of them Canadian people.
He is a Canadian person.
God, north of the wall. We're putting a wall on that side too. Good Lord, this is getting expensive.
No, they built it. I went the other way around. You're wrong, people. They built it to keep us down here.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean,
that's totally what happened.
What's up, Maroc? How you doing, buddy? It's been a little while, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
I'm
good.
Okay. Your video is not working.
Mine?
Yeah. You're just a little Batman.
I see him.
Oh, do you? How come I don't see him?
Because I'm more
That's
special
weird.
than you are.
I guess. Here, let me look at the live video and make sure it's working. That's probably the. Oh no, he's there. You're good, Maroc. It's just me. It's just me on my little screen. You are fine.
Okay.
All right, continue. So what are we looking at here? You're talking about some Death Guard, some disgusting, gross, awful Nurgle. Got it.
Yep, that's what we're looking at. So I got this dude here, and this is actually just sort of the start base stuff. So all this is infill highlighting, where instead of gray middle tone, I went with a brown primer in the middle, and did a very light wash, kind of start getting in the recesses there a little bit, because my plan is to basically airbrush some sort of color on here, hopefully with some shading, maybe one simple layer or two of highlighting to get sort of that, distinct tabletop look with some smoothness going on. And I'm not really sure where to go. I don't know if I want to go the standard Nurgle green, go back to sort of the bonish, sickly green color I did for a tutorial. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think that choice is a good one. It's a good green.
Which one? Standard green?
The sickly looking pale yellowy green.
Yeah. The problem is that one's a little hard to highlight aggressively. So I guess
what do you think of the new Death Guard green? Like of that new base color that they have, that they're doing all the Nurgle models in?
I think it's all right.
It's a very gray green, right?
Yeah, I think it's all right. I don't remember. How do you screen share again? I don't remember how.
You click on the little green box to the right of on the left side of the screen that says screen share when you hover over it. It's like a green box with an arrow in it.
No, that's stupid, Vince. That's definitely not it.
Good point. What am I thinking?
Yeah, that's probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Vince has only been doing this for like years. What the fuck does he know?
Even
I mean,
when we were doing this, like,
basically
even when we were doing this like weekly, I'd be like, Vince, I don't know how to do that. What do you do?
What am I supposed to? What are these buttons?
What does computer work?
What does computer? Yes, that sounds about right. Let's
see if I can find something that. So this is the other thing that like sometimes bothers me. Like when you look at some of these painting sites and stuff, like some of these times I'm like, how much like Photoshop / like editing did you do on this photo? Like before you upload it?
Oh, sure. No, absolutely, dude. Like that's a thing. Like, you know, I mean, a lot of those, especially if what they're uploading is some version of like the box art. I mean, there's absolutely, you know, a touch of Photoshop in there to white balance everything out. I mean, it's not like usually I think the general rule is they're not actually changing anything on the miniature, but they are presenting the miniature in the best possible, you know, sort of lighting that is like humanly viewable to the point where it's like, it probably looks better than reality.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because like in reality, you're going to have some kind of interference, some kind of mix of not the perfect white or blue light or whatever, you know. There's going to be some kind of pollution.
You hear that, Photoshoppers? Your models are lies.
That is not what I said at all.
So I like what this guy did here. I mean, this is like, you know, I feel like this is pretty clean. Looks pretty nice.
See, I think that those two greens should be swapped. So the Nurgling should be this color here that the armor is, and vice versa. That's a hell of a job on that on the apron he's got there, though. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that apron really catches the eye. I really do like that. And there's just a lot of tennis.
I like the apron a lot. I'll tell you what I don't love is that red gun.
Yeah, that dude. I like put this open. I'm like, what is that? A Space Marine gun? I don't really understand what's happening here.
Yeah, that's
so red.
This is not Nurgle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not Nurgle. This should be some sort of green. This should be black. Should be literally something that does not catch the eye like this.
Exactly. It could have just been black and it would have been fine. Why? Yeah. Why is it like Nerf gun red? What did you do?
I think he should have done it the same pink as like the fleshy bits. That would have been cool.
That would have been fine. You know, like actually what I think I would have done, I probably would have gone black and then actually made this like even a more of the like sort of radioactive yellow or even like a snotty yellow, like instead of the blue. Like I think
a scorpion green.
Yeah, like I think that would have gone more interesting. Like, you know, it's still like that fusion gun color, but just a different tone.
That one's for you, Jeff.
Absolutely, yes. Scorpion green. By the way, Sev7 says, what about Glooming Lord's paint scheme? Black with green trim. That's interesting. That would be an interesting Nurgle scheme.
Where would we find something of that nature?
Well, you could probably search for Glooming Lord's Death Guard or something like that. And
damn it, Vince, would you
on the Google.
Jesus.
I'm just throwing out ideas here. By the way, Dorn Jr., we're glad you got to catch a live episode too. He said thanks. Well, thank you for watching, buddy.
What was this guy's name?
Glooming Lord. Glooming. Glooming. Like, yeah, that's gloomy, but glooming.
That's so sad.
See, Glooming Lord. There you go.
Oh, this is actually a faction. Oh. God, I don't know anything about 40K.
Oh, neither do I.
Okay, so like that's like actually a faction. That's not like some like green screening or something.
How do you not have an ad block? What are you doing? What is this? What is this ad we're watching? Oh, there you go.
That's fun. I don't mind that. See, but I like the metal trim. Oh, so that's in the book. That's a book.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
nice.
For. I like it.
Jeff Egan would love it because that's a definite Scorpion green candidate right there.
So let me get your opinion. So here's my problem. In my opinion, doing black power armor quickly is a recipe for disaster. In terms of if you want like a high quality tabletop paint job. I think it ends up being just flat, right? Like you can get away with some colors.
Agree with that.
You can get away with some colors, your browns, your greens, even some other colors are just more forgiving, and you can do harsher highlights and stuff, and it still looks pretty clean and good. But black is a finicky color.
I hate painting black armor.
Black is a shade, not a color. But
I'm sorry, Lord, I apologize.
It's difficult. Like black hair, black fur, like black cloth. It all sucks. I hate.
Yeah, I find like, yes, I agree with you. I tend to avoid black almost in general, but I find, by the way, casually, thank you, sir. That's awesome. I'm just answering one of his comments. He was about some wings. He was sending me some wings for a conversion. So awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited about that. All right. So I think like black fur is the least annoying to me because at least you can vary it up and have white or gray in there. And you're like, okay, that's still black fur because it's, like it's fur, right? It has a lot of texture to it. When you've got a big, flat, smooth surface like armor or a silk robe or something, I'm just like, ugh, tuck in. You're going to be here forever.
So this is exactly what I was talking about, Vince, when I was like looking at stuff, and I'm like, I can't tell if this is your paint job. I can't tell if you just photoshopped the piss out of this. Like, I don't know what this is.
Sure.
Right? Like, I mean, it looks cool, but
that's pretty boosted contrast to like bring out the green, I guess.
Yeah. And then like down here, like did you even paint this? Is this black, or is this just the shade you did with like computer? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's the white balance or whatever. It's the contrast, turned way up to 11. Could just be in the camera. Like you can do that solely through your camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I will say it's been a constant challenge for me when I take pictures to get the lighting exactly correct. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, getting good. I'm not bashing that. Getting good pictures is 100% hard, but
especially when it's like something that's red or like white or any mix of those two, it's like just the camera always messes it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I do like that, but I think it's gonna be a challenge.
Well, what's wrong with a challenge, Paul?
I don't like challenges. I like it. I like the easy road.
I seem to recall
this is the easy road, which is what we want.
I seem to recall a show that you used to do.
All about where we challenged each other each week.
Or like the whole point of the show.
Yeah. To push yourself. I do seem to remember a similar thing here, Paul.
What you're remembering is Vince taking the challenge and kicking it into the stratosphere with some absurd thing, and me doing the normal challenge base level where it was at, bare minimum. We're talking like 65% where we want to live. We're talking D- range.
Just across the line of not failing. Nice.
You want to make sure you just get that degree. No extra effort. No one can tell until they ask for your transcript. Then you're fucked. But that's beside the point.
For my money, man, like a greeny white would be awesome.
I think so. What I'm thinking about is making it more. I don't know what a good descriptor would be. More of like a pretty like more like an inky green, like a very reflective, like vibrant green, like almost doing something like where it's like kind of doing the brown and doing the brown in sort of maybe a bone shading or even a white shading, and then doing like a nice thinned ink over the top with an airbrush and just kind of dusting it and keeping it. What do you think about that?
Like, are we talking like a salamander color, like that kind of thing?
Let's see.
Like salamander green is a pretty intense green, right?
Let's see if I get something just on my thing. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
I mean, something
that yellow green.
Yeah, that like to tint it green. It's still kind of like vibrant. It's pretty bright green, but it's not like. Not trying to get absurd with it. I don't know.
I'm not trying to get absurd with it. Paul Cunert,
I think you
gotta
get absurd when you're doing Nurgle stuff. You gotta go like over the top. You gotta take that ick and like take it to 11.
I mean, on the bright side, you can, like, with Nurgle, you can hide a lot of work you don't want to do, to be fair.
Sure.
If you're inclined, because After Effects are sort of the name of the game, right?
Blood and guts.
So blood and guts, exactly. If you want,
I'm in Vince's camp. I hate fake blood. I mean, I'll do some like stringy stuff afterwards, but blood I can't do. Nah.
No, I agree with you. I'm on the page there. Like it's usually just ringed so hollow, right?
Yeah.
I find less is more. Like if you just like concentrate it to one area of the model, it doesn't have like that terrible effect where that's all you see.
Absolutely.
I've seen a couple like bloody swords and stuff like you're saying where it comes out decent. Like I don't dislike it, but at the same time, me saying I don't dislike it, it never really adds a whole lot for me.
Sure.
Right. I'm not like, I'm not like, oh damn, I hate that, or like, oh that looks good, but it's like I feel like you could have done something where I would have been okay without it, right? Like,
sure.
I guess it's just sort of the effect you're looking for. In my opinion, most of the time, I don't know. I just like in my mind, I visualize like most models like getting ready for battle. I don't really like imagine like the model just like, oh, I just hacked a dude in half, and like now there's just gore everywhere, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, it depends. Like, okay, so there's a great piece that was done for the box art of like the Dwarven Slayer who has just ripped the head off the orc. Like in the model, that's what's happened. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's a dead orc and the Slayer is like holding the orc's head. And there's a fair amount of blood spray on the Slayer. And I feel like that's appropriate in that case because he literally just beheaded a guy. And that's what's happening in the diorama, or whatever you want to say, in the image.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a skin wolf model like that too, where it's like he's got a corpse, he's like dragging a guy behind him.
Oh yeah, sure. Yes. What are you working on there, Maroc?
My chaos stuff. I got like
chaos. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I got like
all into the ruinous powers, my friend.
I have I got
all right.
Like we got some new members into our group, so like Slash. So like that side of the desk is like covered in Seekers right now. And then my wife is doing her undead stuffs. I just finished putting together her card guard for her Alice in Wonderland themed undead army.
Nice.
And I am doing like a skin wolf. It's like I have like 30 blood reavers on my desk right now, which is like ugh. But that are just like in early stages. I needed a break from it though, so I'm working on my Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. I don't know if this is going to show up at all.
Let's jump over to Maroc here. All right.
So he's on a big wolf because it's a skin wolf themed army. So
sure.
He's on a giant wolf.
Where's the wolf from? Is that one of the Thunder Wolves?
No, this is a miniature from a game called Blood Rage. It's
yeah, sure. I know Blood Rage.
Yeah, it's Fenrir.
Okay, sure. Yep.
I took a Chaos Warrior body top for like the cloak and stuff, and then he's got a Wolfen from 40K head, and then Chaos Knight legs, a sword from I don't know where, it was in my bits box, and then green stuff, and yeah, and some Iron Jaws shoulder pads because I thought they looked cool. So
yeah, they look cool.
In him, yeah, they're pretty BA. And then I finally found a use for that wolf broth that I built like forever ago.
Is that absurdly loud, guys? Should I mute my mic?
It's pretty loud.
Let's mute that up.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. So the wolf draft that I did for the monster conversion PMP competition.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm building it into a war shrine because that's the only thing in the game that can buff skin wolves, besides like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord.
Sure,
yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be. You don't have to have a mark to buff from the Chaos Shrine. Yes, you can just be Chaos.
Yeah, it's just mortals, and so I put the order in today, and it hurt my soul to do it, but because I'm running 5 units of 6 of them.
5 units of 6 skin wolves. Is that what you're running?
Yes. So there's 30 of them, and they are like the glass cannon of glass cannons because like they take any casualties whatsoever, and they're running because their bravery is 5. So it's like, yeah. But I mean, they get the extra attacks on 5s and 6s. So like it's a shitty command trait or whatever, the Great Destroyer, where you get +1 to that roll if they're within 8 inches of the general. So you get that unpredictable destruction on a 5 or 6 instead. So
sure.
They get the +1 to hit, so they're getting their extra attacks on 4, 5s, and 6s, and each one of those units is putting out attacks with getting extra attacks. And then the War Shrine, if you get the prayer off, lets them reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. So they're like they things and turn it whatever they touch into mist. But if they get hit back, they just die.
Nice. I like it. High risk, high reward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, fortunately we probably won't have to put up with that garbage command trait for very much longer, because I would certainly imagine that's going to be changed.
Yeah, I am gonna kind of miss it at the same time though, because that +1 to hit, like even though it almost never happens, it's still nice when it does.
It so never happens though. You know this, man.
I don't know. It happens every now and then because I get it on a 5 or 6, not just a 6, right? So
sure. I'll tell you right now, I have went games and never seen it trigger, and I'm just like, why is this? Why does this exist? Why is this?
Yeah, like I don't even know why, because I always gave my my like one of the heroes in the list just because I'm not too fond of any of the chaos artifacts either. So I'm just like, yeah, sure, you can have the rune blade, have +1 attack, have fun with that. And then like after running the list a few times, I was like, fuck, these guys are running away because of Battle Shock like so much. And then it clicked like literally today where I was like, man, I could actually put Inspiring Presence on 2 units instead of just 1. Like, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Crown.
Yeah.
Yup. No, I mean, that's to me, the problem is that the crown is like one of the only compelling items on that list right now.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll say is that I haven't had this problem for a little while because, ever since the Zinch book came out, like I've just been running. Since all my mortals are, well, not all my mortals. I mean, I have 3 chaos armies, but I've been when I run Slaves to Darkness, I've been primarily running Zinch. So I just use the Zinch traits, and the Zinch trait is fantastic even when you're mortal because a bunch of rerolls is pretty sweet.
Yeah,
it's pretty sweet.
You can't like
not even rerolls. Like
it's a good thing.
Yeah, not rerolls is probably the wrong word. I don't know, automatic dice, I guess, or whatever. Even better than rerolls. Right. I don't know how you want to say it. Like the Zinch trait, you know what I mean? Like the
just
number
whatever dice. Yeah.
Like at NashCon, the number of times I use that for just like, okay, I only had like 6 Skyfires or something, which I consider to be a fair amount of Skyfires. And the number of times that I just like was like, I need to eliminate that unit. Okay, I'm going to shoot all the Skyfires and I will choose for these 3 to be 5s or 6s. So they're automatically D3 mortal wounds. Okay,
Ouch.
great.
Yeah,
Solve that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Things will melt. Things will melt.
yeah, no doubt. The the last game I had was up against Slanesh, and like, oh my god.
Yeah, they are. They're super fast. The problem is, what do they do when they get there? They
Well,
just
like,
show up and then die.
they did like a pretty decent amount of damage once they got there, because I mean, once they get they have -1 rend, so
They do.
the whole like me going up to a 6-up save with a 6-up like t-shirt ward save from the shrine. But
That's
yeah,
a good
like,
point. You're probably like the best army for Slanesh to fight, because like the problem with Slanesh is if you run into anything that has any kind of armor save, you're just like, well, pack it up, boys. We're going home. All right, we're all dead now.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got here.
like
We hit them hard. We did nothing.
they did quite a bit like of damage, but like when my wolves hit them back, they just like turned into a purple mist. Like, it was just because skin wolves are 2 damage a pop every wound that gets through, and they're -1 rend. So it's like, boom.
It has been my favorite thing about playing Slanesh in 40K that the demons have their old, sort of invulnerable save back in 40K. Yeah. So, don't get me wrong. It's not great, usually like against normal massed fire and stuff. Obviously, things like Space Marines will do better because they will, their 3-up, if it's not heavily modified, will far outweigh my crappy 5-up invuln. But that being said, it's a wonderful feeling to just be like, get hit by a rocket, and I'm like, 5-up, get hit by it, 5-up. It's all 5-up. It's just 5-up. I got it. It's 5-up. It's cool. 5-up.
It's easy to remember.
Exactly. I'll take the 5-up. Got the 5-up. Rolling the 5-up.
Yep.
And since I play a lot of Space Marine players that don't use librarians in their forces, I don't usually see a lot of mortal wounds coming at me either. So.
Oh yeah.
Which I like, because who wants to get smoted?
Yeah, being smoten sucks.
It's not great. It's not great. That's for sure. So how big is that wolf army you're working on now? Like how much are you up to?
Okay, so
for the Chaos Army.
For the Chaos Army, I've got like I'm running 30 Marauders. I still have to build like 10 of them. But like I've got 20 of them with their zenithal highlighting in the first layer of like flesh tone and stuff on them.
Right.
And then I've got a Chaos that is built, but I gotta paint him. And then I've got this guy, and then it's finishing the War Shrine and waiting for Skin Wolves to get here. So it's still in its infant stages.
I don't know. It doesn't sound too bad. It sounds like you made some good progress.
Yeah, I'm getting there. It's shut down right now, so it's more time to paint.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're on holiday right now, aren't you? Basically.
Yep.
When do you have to go? When do you go back?
Unfortunately, due to like crazy issues with like stuff happening at work, that usually shutdown lasts a month, but it's only like here, so we didn't get enough nickel made, so we got to go back early. So
that sucks.
16th or something like that.
Gotcha. Will you have another period here at some point in time before the end of the year?
Oh yeah, like it was like, it's not just like a go work here, go home, like we'll come back later and you can get paid. It's like they make you use your holidays or whatever for it, and I've got holidays to cover like more time around Christmas and whatnot, so
okay,
I'll be taking time then.
Gotcha. Understood. Right on.
So what are you working on?
I'm not telling.
Okay. That's fair.
It's a secret to everyone.
Is it a keeper of secrets?
No, it is not. I'm not working on the keeper yet. I pulled out the avatar of Shaw from TGG2. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I finished up, like, I was originally thinking about doing her before I did the penitent engine I posted up today. Okay.
Which was beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. That's very nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was very happy with how she came out. What'd you say, Paul?
Meh.
Meh, huh? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get that. But I had thought about doing her first, but seriously, I pulled that model out, and it's just like, you know, one of the kind of annoying things is, like, I don't think they have the assembly instructions up yet, or if they did, I didn't find them, at least when I looked back, you know, a couple weeks back, and and she's just a bag of bits. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin with this. This is ridiculous.
Shit.
It's just like a bajillion pieces of nonsense, and all of them are just drenched in mold release. So, like, I'm like, I don't want to go through cleaning all this. I don't have it in me. So I went to the penitent engine, which or the war pulpit or whatever, which became the penitent engine. And what I'll say is, that actually went together rather smoothly. Like, I don't know, it was fairly obvious how everything needed to go together, is what I mean.
Right.
So I liked that model. I have another one. I got 2. I feel like I should have got 3, but I got 2.
Oh, you had that much fun painting it? You could have done it 3 times?
Well, it's more like I feel like it'd be useful for a couple different things. Like, I've been looking at what I need to do to make a Slanesh soul grinder for a long time, because I've never been happy with feeling like the actual soul grinder fits Slanesh, like, at all.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I think it would convert awesome into a Slanesh soul grinder. What I'm thinking right now is I really want 3 penitent engines for my sisters. That's like 18 battle points, which should be fine. And yes, I play with battle points. I don't play with points because I don't understand why points need to be in the equation. It's just too complicated. I look at the points and I'm like, this is too much. I can't do this. I don't have the patience for this.
Have you looked at the creature caster stuff?
Yeah, I did. In all honesty, I don't like it very much. Like, I feel like it was great 4 years ago when he started sculpting it, but, like, his Lord of Change isn't that impressive anymore. He got passed by the real Lord of Change. Like, I had a chance to look at them all up close, because they were giving them some of them away at, like, Buckeye. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, like, I got to look at the demon up close, the keeper, and the Lord of Change, and I was like, yeah, these are okay. That was just it. They just didn't blow me away anymore. There's so many people, not just GW, but there's so many people making great big models now that it's, I don't know, it's just not as impressive as it was, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really liked the keeper. That was a fun model to paint. It was uncomfortable as all hell to paint, but
sure. I heard some of them, like, I heard there was a lot of kickback against those, that people felt like it was not exactly what was promised.
Well, like, the problem is, I think that, like, it took him a really long time to deliver on that, like, particular project. And
yeah,
so it took him a really long time to deliver on it. And there was all kinds of delays and stuff. And then once it did come, it was like it did, like, with all the hype and whatnot that was behind it, like, oh my god, these are amazing looking, and they were just looking at, like, the CAD versions of it, right? So when the actual miniature itself showed up and they had been waiting for so long, it was like, this was not worth me waiting like 4 years to get.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I mean, yeah, a victim of his own success there with that. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate it happens. I feel like if he had released those 3 years ago, like a year after the Kickstarter completed, I feel like he would have gotten when he originally said he was going to release it. Correct. Yes, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I feel like he would have gotten so much more traction with them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
but now, like in that time, GW released a new sculpt, Mears released a new sculpt of some of that stuff. Like a bunch of people released new sculpts of those types of models, and it's just like, oh, you got passed.
Yep. I mean, it's still good for like 9th age players and stuff who have sworn off GW models. Like,
sure.
And it's in Canadian dollars for you American guys. So I mean, that's like cheap, right?
I'll tell you what, that is what almost motivated me to go ahead and still pick it up. Because don't get me wrong, I don't hate them. That's not the issue. I don't think they're bad. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, they totally suck or something. No. They're still very good sculpts. They still look very nice. I'm just saying I didn't find them as impressive as I thought I would. But yeah, I was looking at that Canadian exchange rate and I was like, hello. Thank you, Canada. Yeah, that's a big win for us. It's been all upside for us here in the States recently in that regard, because like the Brexit and the British pound taking a crap meant I could get a bunch of stuff from England a lot cheaper too than I used to be able to.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
Hey, I don't want the British economy to tank, but I mean, you know, if it gets me cheaper miniatures, I'm just saying it's not all bad. That's all.
Then tank that bitch is what I'm saying.
Silver linings. Silver linings. That's what I'm saying. Bring it down. Yes, that's what we're saying.
So this is blasphemy to speak this year, but I'm trying out these Scale 75 alchemy set.
Sure. Which one?
The one that's got the black metal, alt alchemy, and all that stuff in it. The steel one, I guess.
The steel set, yes. The steel set is better than the gold set.
I don't know. It's weird. I haven't tried the amethyst or the emerald yet, but I'm liking the cobalt and the and everything there.
So I actually just put up a video.
As good as the.
Go ahead.
I put a video on the leather ones, and I don't know. They're always all right. Like, I think that they're fine. You can always do way more creative things like without the guidance of the set. Yeah. I just like the feeling of the set, right? Like, it's just like in those times you're just like, all right, I need a decent leather that's gonna like look good, or decent whatever that's gonna look good. Like, here's my colors, line them up, go for it. Like, no thought, you just come up, you do it. Like, seems like it's kind of helpful in that situation.
Really like the Scale 75 sets as a whole. Like, they just more in tune with the way I paint than say the Vallejo Game Air or whatever. Like, they're just.
So you got to find a paint that works for you, man. Like, you know what I mean? The consistency is really important and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'll say two things. The Scale 75 metallic set, the steel one. Okay. And yes, you're right. It is heresy because there is only Vallejo metal color. But that being said,
I have those too.
I know you do. I know.
Trying something new.
I'm just messing with you. The Scale 75 steel set was designed by Banshee, as was the Intensity set, which is why I believe those are both the two really good sets. Now, in the end, I feel like the metal set still suffers from something a lot of those metal sets suffer from, which is pigment size and pigment density and stuff like that. The thing that the metal color doesn't suffer from. But that being said, color-wise and effect-wise, Banshee is obviously a great painter and designed an amazing set. And the Intensity set is really one of the best things pretty much in the history of painting, maybe the history of mankind. I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but it's amongst our greatest achievements. It's right up there with, like, say, the invention of penicillin, if I had to sort of, rank it.
Step aside, Jesus.
That's right. The Scale 75 Intensity set is here.
Yeah, it's got intense wood.
It does have intense wood.
That shit is magical. I don't know if you
I told you, dude.
That shit. Whoo, boy.
I did watch that episode, and yes, it made me laugh when you were like, Vince was right. And I was like, hell yeah, I was right, dude. I wasn't lying to you.
All right.
That intense wood is
that gives me wood, no questions. We're not even going to beat around the bush with this joke anymore.
Absolutely. It is sorcery in a bottle. I don't understand how it does what it does. You just have like a slight zenithal. You put it over top, and it's like, oh, that's wood now. There you go. That's wood. That happened.
Hey, bro, I heard you liked wood, so I made wood.
Yeah, exactly. It's like wood paint in a bottle, not like something that kind of like all the other, like Vallejo has a set that's called, or has a paint that's called wood, and there's a wood glaze and a wood grain, and those people are all liars because
they always look like these ridiculous colors. You like put it on, you're like, well, that looks like a cartoon piece of wood, I guess.
Right, exactly. No, that's just brown. You made a color called brown. This, you put it on, and it's like, that's wood. It creates like somehow the variation of wood. I mean, I need to order a new bottle, or I did order a new bottle. Sorry. Like I had to go through my second bottle of intense wood because the first one has, can you see that? See how much is left in the bottom there? See that little tiny bit? That's from doing an entire Sylvaneth army right there. Like in that, as that being the first thing applied every time.
Guys, unfortunately, I just got the call from the wife. So I've got to split, but it was fun while it lasted, and thank you for having me on.
Alrighty, good to have you back on, sir. Absolutely.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
Take it easy, Maroc.
And if there's a moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, never have a wife. Just kidding, Catherine. I love you very much.
Yes, because I'm sure you're. Are you married yet, or is she your fiance, or are you actually married now?
It took me 8 years, but now fiance. Like within the last 2 weeks, so I've done.
That's congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, we made it.
There you go. Well, this is a celebration paintisode. Then there you
celebration paintisode of her giving me the full weekend by myself.
There you go.
Nothing like celebrating.
She accepted your proposal of marriage and immediately fled the geographic area. Yes. Somebody in the comments asked, what is Vince painting? Vince is not telling what he is painting. Vince is working on a secret project. So there you go.
You're allowed to do that. You can do that when you want to.
Sure.
Can you tell us, is this a secret for a competition? Is this a secret for personal reasons? Is this a secret?
It is a secret for personal reasons. It will be shared. I would never paint anything I'm not willing to share. I'm holding it in my close to the vest for now.
Okay. We can respect that.
Be shared. Well, thank you. Respect my privacy.
My privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you're heading out to LVO. You're going to take your death guard.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah. So how much? I don't even know how much death guard you would have to paint up. Like I don't even know what's the force look on that. How big is the LVO tournament? Is it like how many points is that?
These are all really good questions that you would think I would have the answer to.
But they're all questions you do not, in fact, have the answer to. I'm thinking is going to be the end of this.
Really good questions that I will look into and get back to you at another time. Is my very scientific answer by avoiding the question of saying I have no goddamn idea.
You know what? That's totally fair. You're allowed to not have any idea. I think at this point, if you just start painting Death Guard, you'll probably be fine.
That's what I figured.
I'm sure I need to just
I just need to paint all the models that look like they're going to be expensive in points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you see the new Primarch bro that got spoiled?
Dude, Martarian. Yeah, man, that guy looks sweet.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I got to paint one of him because he's probably like 4 billion points, which sounds perfect, right? So,
right,
I'll do that.
Exactly. It's the same accomplishment I felt, like when I finished Archeon, I was like, yes, this guy is like a whole army in one figure. What an accomplishment. It's the anti Skaven slave problem where, you spend like days painting a batch painting Skaven slaves or whatever. And then you got to your army and you finished and you're like, yes, 50 Skaven slaves done. I have 100 points.
And then you cry yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
You're like, why did I make these life decisions?
Mm-hmm.
But
hey, you're the one.
So that's why you
Skaven. You knew what you were doing when you got into it. That's all I would say.
Yeah, you knew exactly what you're doing. You called the Polish painter and you were like, bro, I need 200 Skaven slaves. Make them look okay. make it happen.
Yep.
I don't care how much it costs. I enjoy my life too much for that.
I am just happy I painted 150 of them, and I was like, this is it. This has to last me for my whole life. This is all the Skaven slave / clan rats I will ever paint. I'm done with these now forever.
This is all I have in me.
Correct. I have reached the absolute limit. If I have to paint one more of these, nope, then I quit this game. Yes.
No, I need to look up, you know, like I said, I've literally not played a game of 40K yet, so it's definitely on me where I need to start investing, like looking at that. But at the same time, the reason that I really haven't put the full lot of effort is because I know the book is coming. So it's just sort of, you know, it seems kind of silly to me to sort of plan anything and then have a bunch of new models and points and whatnot come out.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You know, I mean, plus you're going to have Mortari and you're going to have a bunch of new sexy models, right? It's just like how the Space Marine book, you know, they got all these new different guys, which, by the way, did you see that chaplain? You know, I hate Space Marines, but that new chaplain, that like death looking dude with the skull mask or whatever, that guy is awesome. I want to like buy that guy and not use him as a Space Marine. I want to like convert him to be some fantasy model because I think he looks like, just get that gun out of his hands and he's an awesome fantasy model.
He just looks so angry. Bro, what's you so angry at?
Mm-hmm. Well, probably because he's angry because he's a Space Marine and he knows that by definition makes him a cheater.
Yeah. You know, it'd be really cool.
So,
what if we just made a bunch of super soldiers, like with like personalities and stuff? No, just super generic.
No. Yeah, they're just basically psychotic murderers who.
Yeah. What if we just made them like
pre-programmed to
super? What if they were like the superest of super, and then they were bland as fuck?
And then we just made like 80 million more, even more super ones. I saw a very funny post on, you know, like in a Facebook group or whatever, in a 40K Facebook group or something the other day that was talking about like explaining why Space Marines fall to chaos. And it had like a picture of the normal Space Marines and it was like the best of humanity. And then it had, you know, like a Terminator or something. And it was like the elite of the best. And then it had like Grey Knight, like a Grey Knight. And it was like the elite of the best, right? And it kept going up and up into this.
Yeah, this was just
line.
Really sad.
Yes, and it finally goes way up in the original Space Marines, like, oh, I'm not that special anymore.
I'm sad now. I'm just a normal best of the best.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you can't even see the Imperial Guard guy. He's so far down there. It's just he's in another zip code. He's so far away.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not in the fluff. I'm not sure what his purpose is. I get the whole like ant swarm thing. Like I understand, but so we're in a sci-fi universe where you're like blowing up planets and shit.
Yes.
What is your ant purpose? I don't understand. Like you don't seem like you're valuable for anything.
Of the Imperial Guard, you gotta have somebody to stand in the way and die.
Yeah.
Well, until the Marines and the like Exterminatus orbital bombardment ships can show up.
Oh, okay.
It's a very important role.
Yeah, so we just need someone to stand there and do something useless.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, your job as a Imperial Guardsman is to basically wait around to die horribly. Yeah. Look, it's an important role. Somebody's got to do it.
Good. It seems good.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like, hey, bro, go stand over there next to the super killy guys. No, I'm good. I'm gonna go.
That being said, that was, you know, I did love playing that army back in the day. The Guard, that's part of the reason why I do hate Space Marines is, you know, my time playing Imperial Guard, my admitted open jealousy of them and their eliteness, especially back in the edition I was playing in. That was what really sealed the deal for me, is that I was tired of always being like Mr. Underdog who just I had my tanks. That was it. I do remember there was a very fun White Dwarf article from back in that time where they put what's his name? The God, why can't I remember his name? The Commissar Yarick up against Gazagul Thraka, like his sort of stated enemy. Do you know these two characters?
I know the orc guy, yeah, and I can picture the other dude.
Yeah, Gazagul Thraka being like, the sort of main orc antagonist of a couple different things, a couple different adventures. And so they used the rules and put Commissar Yarrick up against Gazagul Thraka and would just actually roll out the combats. And this guy is allegedly, they're enemies. And like the first 10 fights, like Yarrick wins one of them.
He's just a useless person.
Right, he's just getting crushed because like Gazagul was like strength 10 with his power claw or whatever. Like, if I remember right, like I think Yarrick in this scenario was going first for whatever reason. And even with going first, Yarrick classically has an orc power claw as well. But I mean, he's still only strength 6 with that. Like he still needed like 3s to wound or whatever against Thraka. And so then finally they balanced it out by giving Commissar Yarrick a tank. Like they just had, okay, never mind. Him and a tank against Gazagul Thraka. And I was like, all right,
this seems more fair.
Yeah, that's how the guard works. If there was ever the guard in a nutshell, it was that little experiment there. So, I mean, I love the tanks. I love vehicles. What can I say? Getting back into some 40K. One of the things that I have rediscovered is my love of ridiculous tanks. So it has been fun to play with vehicles again.
I'm not gonna lie. I picked up a couple dreadnoughts just to like, I don't know. They just always catch my imagination. Just like the most useless, ridiculous vehicle. But God, it looks sweet.
Oh, they're super good now, by the by.
Really?
Just so you know. Yeah, they're good. Yep.
So I figure most of the time when you buy these big cool models, they just suck and get shot off the board.
No, like I can't speak to any kind of like high level meta. I mean, I don't freaking know about that. But I will say in my current games I've been playing, which were, we don't go like, we play what we like, but I mean, there's still you try to take fun stuff and whatever. Dreadnoughts have been really, really good in our games. So don't take my word for like the greater meta, but if you're just talking about like normal games, they're really good. I don't know if they could be really good in upper meta, but man, are those guys annoying. They're tough and pretty hard to bring down, which is a nice combination, and they can do some serious damage.
Sounds like something you want to be doing. Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to listen to some battle reports and some content to get an idea of what's going on. The whole thing seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. It's been a 40K renaissance for me. I hadn't played since like 2003. Okay. And the one thing that we all, everybody got out their armies again. People we still had their forces. Like my buddy still had his orcs from back in the day and so on and so forth. And the only thing that we ended up just doing sort of reflexively and we decided we liked and to keep was we kept the random turn order from AOS. Okay,
I think they just implemented that back, actually. You mean every turn? Okay, yeah.
Every turn, okay. Yeah. We kept not like the who goes first. We kept like the true every turn roll for, so you can be double turned or get a double turn.
Gotcha.
It's just too much fun. I mean, I'm sure that's heresy, because I'm sure most people. I don't know. I know why they did it. I honestly think I thought about making a video about it. I think they did it in 40K because I think in 40K, the shooting being more preeminent means that if you give a shooting army 2 turns of its shooting in a row, you really could eradicate the enemy right off the table.
I mean, there's been talk about it being like even for a little while, like just having the first turn was almost too much.
Right. So I get that. But that being said, since we're playing multiplayer games, okay, like 3 and 4 people, it just tends to be more fun to switch who's going in the rotation rather than to just go in a circle. And it's much more like because there's 3 or 4 players, it's not the double turn that you tend to get, right?
Yeah, see, that totally makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like if you have more than one order, right? Like it's not like double turn. It's like, okay, now I'm going to go a little bit ahead of this person again, but like there's more going on than that.
Exactly. So like last turn, player 1 went first. This turn, player 3 goes first, right? Or something like that. But it's still not, it's not a double turn. Player 4 didn't go first either time, but they went fourth the first time and second the second time, right? As
it puts a little shell on the game where you can, you know, have different tactics based on that too, you know. Oh, I know this person's going after me, so I'll take care of their thing, you know. Keeps a little fun balance in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It changes it up, makes it a little more fresh. So, but it's been a joy to run my Slaanesh demons, to have them have a purpose again, because they are one of the big letdowns. They are a pile of hot garbage right now in AOS.
The demons?
The all Slaanesh demons, yeah. But they've been fantastically fun in 40K. Again, I'm sure that like I can't say how good they are in the broader meta, but in our, you know, beer and pretzels games, they are amazingly fun, especially in a multiplayer thing, because there's enough meat on the table that I can generally like dodge a lot of shooting and get across the table and get into people. And God, will those claws just slice right through Space Marines? It's so fun. It's fantastic.
All I'm hearing, as long as you're killing Space Marines, you're having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. So what did you decide on for your boys?
I don't know yet. I'm going to give this guy a go. Basically, my plan here is I want to make a video about just silliness you can do with just sort of undercoating, you know, just your zenithal highlighting with some under highlights with sort of an overcoat, and see what sort of effects we can get, especially on power armor and things. So I'm going to kind of play around with that. So basically, I'm just kind of edge highlighting everything. I'll probably go through with a black ink to kind of line some stuff, see what that kind of gives me for an effect. Maybe one highlight past that, just some edges. So that's kind of plan right now. I'm gonna do that, and probably do this bone white and then that ink I showed you, and just try and see how that looks in terms of grain armor on one model here, and see where that goes.
Seems like a good plan.
Yeah.
Are you going straight glaze for the green as opposed to mixing in anything?
I think so. It might. I don't know. I'm debating. So on the bone white power armor I did before that, I didn't mind how it came out. I thought it came out okay. It was mixed with Agrax Earthshade to give it sort of like more of a camo green color, more of a dirtier green color instead of being so bright. But I think with the brown primer that's already there, that sort of effect is already going to be sort of, the transparency might be okay. I don't know. I got to see how it's going to come out.
Yeah, I mean, brown undercoats green really well, obviously, right? So, what's up, Tom?
Hey, folks.
All right, guys. I got to go.
We're really in. How was everybody?
Everybody's doing well. My Skype crashed accidentally, suddenly, and I sent Brad a message to re-add me, and he never did. So you guys get me instead.
So you're saying you're the reject from the other call?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yeah, they bailed on me, and so you guys get me now.
That's what I've always wanted.
You're welcome, Paul. I missed you.
Missed you too, buddy.
So what we're saying, just to be very clear, is that Tom, you are Relian's sloppy seconds tonight. That's what I'm hearing here.
Yeah. You guys were getting Relian sloppy seconds.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
The Paintisode indeed.
Hey. I was having a great conversation with Dez on Karajan Overlords. I'm sure Domus and Relian didn't want to hear any more talk about Karajan Overlords, but we were having a great chat.
Where is Dez at? Geographically?
Yeah, he's out there with Mitch. He's out there with Mitch and
he's in Jersey somewhere.
Yeah, he's like not in Jersey, but he's out on the East Coast.
Okay.
So
he's
like
Connecticut, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like Jeff Egan and Mitch and
so approximately the
Paul
armpit of civilization.
Look, California elitist. Okay, we don't need your attitude here. All right.
Is that a Space Marine, Paul?
Yeah, dude, it's a Death Guard.
It's a Nurgle Space Marine, though, Tom. So there you go.
Well, that's acceptable.
It's half something you like.
Yes, it's true.
Didn't you get all those gold guys because you're lazy?
He did get all those gold guys.
You mean Stormcasts in space?
Stormcast like in space. Yeah, dude. Those guys are Retributor armor and a chestnut wash away from done. If you used oil washes for that, you could one-step the washes. You know that, right?
I have...
They would probably look
like you could literally be done because you could just Retributor armor them, chestnut wash them, and then wipe the high points. Yeah, so you don't get any coffee stains and it only gets in the low point, and then just pick out the details. That's totally doable.
Don't tempt me because that might happen. Like
I'm just saying, dude. Do tempt you 100%. Do tempt you.
Well, I'm working on my KO right now, and like if I stop painting KO. Then Vince doesn't have a list to play with at Holy Havoc.
That's correct. I don't have a partner, yeah.
So I probably need to finish these guys. No, I mean,
Vince. I think there's a doubles tournament in LVO.
Well, look, if I end up able to make it out there, I'll roll that with you.
Let's do it. Because that sounds way better than having to play a game by myself.
Totally.
I'll be like, I don't know what your army does. I assume it shoots things. So let's do that.
Seems legit. Yeah, like I said, if I make it out, I am totally down for that. And we'll see. It's going to depend on a few factors, like namely when our yearly sort of sales conference is, basically.
Hey, I have dwarves that shoot things. You know that, Paul?
Do have.
I keep hearing this voice. I don't know what it is, but shut up.
It's the ghost of Christmas past.
It is. Speaking of Christmas past, your airbrush is still treating me very nicely.
Oh, yeah. You hooked Tom up. Changed his hobby life, buddy.
I totally forgot about that. That Neo, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I no, not the no. It was the
CS. It was the HP CS you gave him.
Well, I bought off of him, but yes.
Yes.
It's nice. I like it. I still use it a lot.
You'll be happy. It really is. You'll be happy to know, Paul, that like very shortly after he got it, he proceeded to leave paint in there and just forget about it and like leave it overnight. And he called me the next day. I was like, I think I ruined my airbrush, and I'm like, it's fine. We can fix it.
That may have occurred. That may have indeed occurred.
But it's a proof that you can fix anything. It's all right. Everybody screws up their airbrush somehow when you first get it. That's just a rite of passage.
Everybody hurts.
Yes, that's exactly right. Correct. Sometimes, yeah. I mean the nature of getting your airbrush is that you're going to mess it up somehow. That's called the requirement. And that's fun.
You know what I love when you're painting and you're having a good time and you think it's going well and you find that little piece of curmudgeon just sitting there in the corner somewhere and you're like, where the hell did this come from? Now there's this giant freaking kaputs on there. I got to scrape it off, start again. You know what? Fuck this hobby, I quit.
I don't do that. I just paint over it and have these horrid mold lines. And this wonderfully smooth transition. This garish mold line on like Glotkin's ass or like thigh. And I'm like, oh well.
Seems fine.
Okay.
The answer there, Paul, is don't do that. Just get out the gloss varnish, buddy. That's what I do. You get out the gloss varnish and you go to town on it. You put a nice big dollop over it. Make sure it isn't too built up. And then you just kind of rerun a few blends over the top thin, and you'll cover up the varnish. And you'll hide the mold line. There's your late in painting mold line tip from Vince. Look at this. We're dispensing useful information in this now. Better stop.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, Vince. Stop it.
Yeah, this might accidentally have some value. We don't want that.
No, we've just done false advertising. Damn it.
But yes, that's the answer.
I like that. Actually, it's not a mold line. It's actually literally a piece of like crud.
Flash.
No, not like actually from the model. Like actually like a piece of junk or lint or something.
That's amazing.
Where are you painting? In a like, are you in some sort of
laundry room?
Are you in some sort of refuse location? Is there active trash being strewn in the air near you? Like how did random trash get onto your model?
Yeah, sometimes you live in an expensive area and you're like, how can I just lower rent? You're like, what I can do?
Sure.
I could live
just scatter trash around the neighborhood. Yeah, just live in filth. Lower that property value down. It really saves on the taxes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Makes painting really difficult, but sacrifice.
You got to do what you got to do. I understand. Yeah, sure. That's fair. Totally fair.
Actually, as I was saying when we were talking, like this is literally. I live in the Valley in Northern California, and it's literally some of like the worst air quality in the country, just geographically.
So are you in like the outskirts of San Francisco?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean I'm sandwiched between San Francisco and Sacramento.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like the agricultural valley.
Yep.
Because of that, we get not only do we get the air from the bay and stuff that just kind of gets trapped in the valley, but we get all the agricultural junk and then all the pollen and stuff from that. So
exciting.
Yeah.
For you have to live in in pseudo paradise with your weather. Yeah, it's a rough gig, man. It's a rough gig.
Really
I don't know how you put up with it.
Sometimes in the winter it gets cold, like 50 degrees. It gets sad.
Right. It's tough.
We get sad.
It hasn't been anything but entirely sunny for like 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
It actually does get to the point where you're just like, "Ooh, it's raining. That's exciting."
Apparently, he is working in a somewhere where garbage trucks are driving by.
Yeah, well, so all two things. Tim asked, will you link a site for Paul if he has a place he'll post his finished Death Guard? Sure. You should share your finished Death Guard so people can see it. I think that's what he's asking there.
100%. Yeah.
Paul, are you on Twitter?
No, I don't. I don't tweedle.
You should get on it. Let me just start there. That's number one. You should be on the Twitters.
That's a thing now?
It is.
It is a thing. It's true.
It's a lot of Warhammer.
I know that's where most of our legislation comes from these days, but
it is, yes. But it's also a site. I don't look at it for that. I'm very my Twitter is for Warhammer models. Okay, that's what it's for.
I mean, I think that's what its original intention was for. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that is accurate. But it's great. There's so many great. Like you asked about inspiration. Honestly, most of the photos in my phone tagged as inspiration came off of Twitter. To be completely honest. Because I mean, I keep like an inspiration file of things I want to borrow inspiration from, and a lot of them do come off Twitter.
I mostly just mean steal.
Sure. But okay, and then let's see. Cannoli asked say that again about late correction for mold lines. Sure. Okay, so late correction for mold lines. You find a mold line late in the process, and you've got a bunch of layers of paint over something, and you don't want to scrape it because then it's gonna be a problem. Grab yourself some gloss varnish or some matte varnish, either one, depending. Doesn't really matter how big the mold line is. Gloss if it's a really big, ugly mold line. Matte if it's small. Drop a coat over top of it, let it dry. Drop a coat over top of it, let it dry. Run your finger over the top, see how smooth it is. make sure it's not still there, and then take paint and just do a couple thin layers or glazes over the top of the varnish to blend it back into the surface, and it'll go away. It's pretty easy. And, you know, it's because the undershading is still going to be there from your previous work. You aren't starting from scratch. So there you go.
Starting from scratch is sad.
Yes, it is.
Everyone is sad, Panda.
Like literally starting from scratch when we're talking about scratching off the
models.
paint.
Yep.
Yes.
You're so funny.
Thank you. I know. That's why I make the big bucks here on YouTube.
Oh my God! You want to know what my tip of the day is?
I'm ready.
Actually, wait for your primer to dry. Don't rush that shit. Fuck. I just that base in that Space Marine that I was doing that I just kind of finished. I did this like I was just testing marble effects, just like messing with it for like probably a good 3 hours, and went and it's like a mosaic piece. So like I just taped something off to get some sort of airbrush color on there
And
to like glaze them across. It just ripped a giant patch out of it. Everything I was working, I was like, well, found where his foot's gonna go.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll tell you what, man. You are much more bold about taping models than me. I cannot, like, I have to be so careful. Like when I tape a model, not only do I take the tape, I take it off of the Tamiya, you know, sort of roller, right? Because I use the same stuff you do, that Tamiya roll tape.
Yeah.
I take it off of there. I freaking I take it and stick it on like my pants a bunch of times and peel it back off, you know, because it'll get like fuzzy with the lint.
Yeah.
And then I take it and stick it to my desk and pull it off. And then I run my finger along it to make sure that it's got oil on it too or whatever. Okay. And then I lightly, yeah, I mean, basically, and then I like lightly put it on the model. I lightly put it on a model.
And then I put it on the side of the model, use regular paper, and just place it over.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Like the paint is dried for 24 hours. I varnish the model and let it dry. And then I still get it to peel off. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this happening?
Why me?
Yeah, I need more silly putty. That's what it is. Like I need to go for the silly putty thing.
I do like silly putty. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's the right answer. It's much easier. I just being lazy because I lost my silly putty and I haven't gone to get more.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I should do that.
It's a 2-day, or well, like ain't Columbus's distribution, so you should probably have 1-day shipping.
Yeah, it comes in like a pack of like 6.
And it's cheap as all dirt, and there's no excuse. Yeah. I understand. This is all true. You've got me. You got me dead to rights. I mean,
you guys caught me. It's not going to change what's happening, but you caught me.
Right. Yeah, but yes. I do like the silly putty trick.
Yeah, Madam Mayo. I am a brush slicker. Deal with it.
It's all right.
I'm getting all of my heavy metals in tonight.
Yeah, as am I. It just becomes, it's just like, for a lot, especially the way I blend, because it's so, like, I'm very haphazard with it. It's just, it's the thing to do.
Nothing quite gets the tip as fine as your mouth.
Nothing gets the tip as fine as the tip.
Nothing quite like putting the tip in your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
That's more or less how I feel. Yes. I feel we've wandered into some strange territory here.
Hey, Dez is over here now.
But, is he?
Yeah, he's in the
What's
chat.
up, Dez?
Hi. Sorry, Dez. The Skype dropped out on me. I don't know what happened.
If I dropped out, he wanted to come hang out with us because we're cool.
That's not true. Well, I mean, I do kind of want to hang out with you guys.
It's not true. Sure, we want you to hang out with us, but we are definitely not cooler. That is, I am 100% sure of that. That is an incorrect statement.
You speak for yourself. I'm an amazing person.
I'll speak for all of us. Well, that's true. I didn't say that. I just said we're not cooler.
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Undoubtedly.
I don't know to being cooler. How do I look at the chat?
Bring up the bring up the video like in a separate window. Like I have this.
As if
I
you're
have this
watching
thing
our
we're
video.
doing.
Yes.
Yeah, like watch
on
the video on a
YouTube's?
separate window. Yeah,
On YouTube.
exactly. Yes.
Only
on YouTube.
I pause it so that I don't have Vince us talking in the background.
Well, yeah, I have it muted and paused, but yes, I have to have it during the show. Like during Warhammer Weekly, I have to keep it open so I can see what people are saying or whatever. So yes, I mute it and pause it because the chat stays live regardless of where the video is. So you don't have to actually be actively watching it to see the chat.
That's true. This man, look, less tape, plastic wrap. OS is your friend. Plastic wrap. Dang.
I've never used plastic wrap.
Yeah, yes, I do use the plastic wrap. And that's a perfectly fair point. Like in my to show you very quickly here how much
Vince, nobody cares.
Shut your face. You can see how much I use it. There's my regular plastic wrap I use. It's all nicely gross and
That's pretty gross.
Painted. So yes, I regularly keep plastic around. I also keep a couple old rubber gloves that I've like ripped the tips out of the fingers because you can just wrap those around real easy and that's not going to hurt anything.
I'm kind of disturbed. I'm painting these like Karajan Overlords.
Yes.
And they have like these genital covers that are faces. And all of them, you guys can't see that. Hold on.
Nope. What do they have?
I'll show you.
Okay.
I don't know how else to describe what I'm looking at right here.
They're cups.
Kind of.
They're just wearing athletic supporters. They're ready to go. Look, that's just called being prepared. Okay? If you wear a cup to play football, you don't think you'd wear a cup to war?
I would wear a cup to war.
Heck yeah. I'm not getting cheap housed like that.
Man,
ready.
Yeah.
Well, these are these are all like ranged people. They're not fighting. If they're fighting, they've already lost.
Says you. They know how the game
works. You don't know their life.
First of all, they know how the game works. They know there's a bunch of angry things coming. And by the time they get there, they're going to be so angry because they've been shot like crazy that their attackers are going to go straight for the nards. It's basically it's going to be Monster Squad all over again. They're ready.
Monster Squad. It's been so long since I've seen you.
Mm-hmm. It's a great movie. Nothing
I don't
wrong
know
with
what that
Monster
is.
Squad. Have you ever heard? Yes. Have you ever heard the quote "Wolfman has nards"? Have you ever heard that be said in jest? Nope. Yes, it's become a bit of a meme. But anyway, it's from Monster Squad. It's a great movie from the 80s. Think of like the easiest way I could describe it is the Goonies fight the Universal monsters. That's basically the premise of Monster Squad. Like all good 80s movies, it's about a group of intrepid young children who get in a fight with forces beyond their capabilities. Yes.
Yep.
It's appropriate.
Yeah, as Bethany Graham pointed out, it should be called codpiece. Yes, there you go. Absolutely.
Codpiece.
That's what it is.
I have a golden codpiece.
Sure.
Like, and they're all faces.
I mean, that's just
all of them. All of them are faces.
I don't think I think you're reading that wrong. I think all Caradron overlords are from Texas.
Those are belt buckles.
Those are belt buckles, my friend. Like they rock the biggest belt buckles. They are ready to go.
Like that tells me that his junk has a mustache. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I don't agree with anything you just said. I don't ever want to. Nope.
Look at it. Look at it.
No, I'm not looking at it. I am looking at this Nurgle guy. He's my buddy. We're just hanging out. Not looking at no junk mustaches.
You've literally made someone choose Nurgle over looking at your dwarf, Tom. You see what you've done? That's where we're at in this life now.
Junk mustaches.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you caused that.
You've done this.
Mm-hmm. This is all your fault.
Hey, maybe you could have an STD force with Paul, Vince. If you guys did the teams tournament, you could bring some. That
just took a turn. That took a real quick turn.
Yes, we'd be doing.
I have no idea where he's going with this.
We'd be doing teams 40K, Tom.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's going to do Nurgle Blightguard.
Oh, okay.
And you could.
Oh, sure.
And
I bring Slaanesh.
Slaanesh Demons.
Yep. Yes, Tom and I say that that's the STD force. Like, that's the true STD force, right? If you've got Nurgle and Slaanesh together.
Seems good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Us actually like winning a game.
I don't know. I'd say
pretty good.
I'd say we have a absolutely. I dig it. The only downside, the keeper is so destructive. The only downside is because she is a big monster. She can be picked out and shot, which is unfortunate. But like the regular heralds are so good. The spells that they have or their psychic powers. The Slaanesh psychic powers are really, really solid. Like you can pile in the like in the psychic phase and stuff and fight.
I don't know what any of that is. I don't know what you just said.
Do you like to pile in and fight a second time, Tom? Do you think that's good in a game?
I do.
Well, you can do it with their psychic powers.
What is a psychic power, Vince?
It's a magical spell, but it's with your mind.
Your mind.
Mm-hmm. You know, which is different than a normal spell. Yes. Just look, there's no good explanation for why it's
from your junk mustache.
Correct.
It's your junk stash.
Your junk stash. It's the same problem that the D&D always had, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference between psychic and magic? I don't know, man. Just something. One is more brain powery than the other. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it, is the answer. Just stop thinking about it.
You just stop it right meow.
They're both just the same thing. We all understand. It's fine.
Everyone hates everything. It's time to sing a song for the audience. Looking at his computer.
Docket Des says, I thought Kentucky was the belt buckle place. By the way, why do we just have it on Tom's picture? I don't know. I left it locked there. I'm sorry, everybody watching, which I'm sure if you're watching this to actually watch the screen, you've made a bad choice in your life.
You're doing it totally wrong.
Yeah,
literally everything. You just need to rethink it.
You should be painting and not looking at the screen because there is nothing interesting happening on the screen during 90% of the time that the screen would be up. But it's totally Texas, man. Like Kentucky, I don't even think they're not even registering. They're maybe like top 10 belt buckles, but no, it's all Texas.
To answer your question, Christopher,
and you used to live there, Tom.
What? Texas? Oh, I know. I remember vividly. To answer your question, Christopher, these guys are a mercenary outfit. They are the remnants of a Fire Slayer lodge that served aboard skyships for the longest time, and so they have worked with all of the skyports at various points in time, adopting their tactics and technology and whatnot. So I run them whatever I want to run them for.
We call that a backwards narrative explanation for letting Tom be more flexible and cheaty with the rules. You see how that works? It's real easy.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's fine. I'm not beating you up over it. I'm just saying Tom creates the rules he wants, then finds a narrative to fit it. That's the difference. The difference between a narrative player and a power gamer liking narrative is Tom. Like, Tom loves good narrative. He does. He loves good story. But he's going to, like, design the rules first and then backwards design a story that fits those good rules. He's not gonna like tell his story and then get the build the force to match it. No, that's not Tom's style.
Yeah, it sounds stupid.
It's true. Here's if you haven't seen my test model, where I'm going to end up. This was my test unit that I did. So those were my first 10 that I finished.
And those guys look good, man. They came out well. I don't know how you didn't finish this and immediately just want to paint a bunch more, to be completely honest, because I think they look great.
I don't know. Like, they're really detailed.
Sure.
So it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, like painting, like, you know, it takes time and stuff. I'm just not really into that, so I'd really rather just do like anything else besides doing a hobby. So.
Yep. Yeah. All of what Paul just said.
I didn't get into this hobby to hobby. Okay, I got into this hobby for reasons.
Yeah.
Frankly, I wasn't sure what I was doing. I've made some bad choices, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's not my PlayStation. It's a closet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that said, yeah, I was telling those guys, I realized this is the first time that I've had a brush touch a model since May.
That's insanity.
Wow.
Like,
is that for real?
It is. Because the last models that I painted were for NashCon.
My God, Tom. That is shocking. I'm shocked and appalled.
Isn't it?
That doesn't seem like it could be true.
I haven't painted anything.
It's crazy.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I've been traveling. Like, so remember,
I've seen him.
Like, I haven't been around. Remember, I skipped a couple weeks of shows, and the last couple weeks I haven't had anything to show for it, for hobby time. And
sure.
So, yeah, I have not been painting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad but true. So, but
well,
I am now
you're back on it now.
Exactly. I have almost. I mean, these 10 guys, like, they're 50% base coated.
Hey, that's all right. Moving right along,
man. So much detail. There is so much detail. It's terrible. Ugh. And like it doesn't help that I have to convert everything. Like, and I'm just adding more detail when I convert.
To be fair, that's kind of your fault. You did do that.
Oh, I know. I'll own. I know what I did.
You know what you did.
Yes. Mm-hmm. When I was buying 2 boxes of units just to make one, I knew what I was doing.
That sounds like you did not know what you were doing.
No, I mean, honestly, Paul, like I really did know what I was doing. That's the problem.
No, that's the difference between an accident and a problem.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because I sat there and I was like, oh, this would be the best army in the world. Like, it's super like stylish and it'd be awesome. And like lore wise, it could be a continuation of Long Drongs and just a bunch, like, it'd be awesome. And it would fit in the lore. And then I was like, but it's going to cost like double a normal army cost because nobody sells these Mohawks. And I was like, well, I just can't do it. And then a little while later, I was like, well, why am I not doing it? Is it just because of money? And I was like, yeah, actually, it's just because of money. And I was like, well, that's not an excuse.
Because money.
Which it probably should have been. It's just money.
I don't need it for anything else.
Well, exactly,
what
clearly.
Need that for?
It's not like my kids need college. And so instead, I'm getting a Fire Slayer Kharadron Overlord's army.
Look, I mean, to be fair.
And then you don't need college.
Yeah, exactly. Well, unfortunately, he's already that bridge has already been burnt, my friend, as he's got like 4 kids. So, there you go.
That's true.
I hear you can sell them in like Chechnya or something.
That's true.
Ooh, that could be another army.
That's a good point. You got to think about stuff like that. Keep your options open. That's all I'm saying.
Always keep your options open.
Yeah.
You think GW has like a traded child program?
I dedicate them to the heavy metal team, and so they just get raised up painting minis.
Seems fine.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like,
you could turn them
like
into a real
temple
sweatshop.
servants.
It'd be pretty nice. Yeah.
Then you don't have to
Like,
paint
that'd
either.
be pretty handy. Yes, Des just said they always need paint grots. I agree. So Tom, tell me about your list for you said you came up with a new KO list today. Right?
Oh, my new filthy list?
Yeah, you said you sent me a text or whatever
I cracked the
that
code.
said that. You're like, yeah, I cracked the code. Woo, we cracked the code. Drinks on us. That's an inside joke only for Tom and I, but that's all right. There's yeah, you like sent me this cryptic text of like, I've cracked the code, I got this sweet new list, and then you never sent me anything else, like as though what you had figured out was so important that like you couldn't even be shared. Otherwise, it might be they might learn of it.
It's true. Okay, so I've long been talking about like melee forces, and I've been kicking around doing the Fire Slayer shenanigans. Of actually mixing in Volkites with the new 21 engine riggers. Des, thanks. And what I realized was, so it's not using the deep striking, but setting up a melee skirmish line with the Volkites of 30 strong across the front, and then running a block of 40 Arcanaut Company and 30 Arcanaut Company. Okay.
Okay.
So like the core of this army is 100 models of battle line
that you hopefully never move.
Well, yeah, basically
in a perfect world.
like in a perfect world, I would never move in any significant manner. They would shuffle and shimmy just so that like some of the legs would touch objectives, but they would never meaningfully move. And then in addition to this, or kind of supporting this, is running 4 chemists, all within range of these 2 units. And the chemists are so it's doing the Urbaz Skyport, so that every time you use a chemist, they buff 2 units instead of 1.
Okay.
So, and then finally, the other piece of this puzzle is running. You have 2 other units. One is a support unit. One is an offensive unit. So you run 9 engine riggers with 2 grapples. Okay.
So they zip out from behind the line and they clear points or whatever.
Yep, they can clear points, and they can
claim points, really.
Yes, and they can clear 36 inches per turn. And so you could zip them out, blow everything off a unit, and then as soon as the enemy moves to like approach them, you zip them back out.
Sure.
So they just
you zip them toward like a piece of terrain behind your line.
Yep, that's exactly right. And they can get super buffed by the 4 chemists, so that like the chemists would be able to, like the Arcanaut companies would be able to put out like 105 skyhook shots, which are going to be like 4 up, 3 up, -2 rend, D3 damage at 24 inches.
Okay.
And like the big block can take 28 wounds before it loses any actual effectiveness.
Because it's everybody except the skyhooks. Yeah, sure.
It's everybody with the skyhooks, right? And the other one can lose 21 models before they lose any effectiveness on the shooting.
Sure.
And
as
then,
Des has pointed out, you need to find room for Griffhounds. I agree.
And the other unit was a 1 Griffhound.
Sure. It's just so if anything drops near your lines, you can just be like,
everything
Mark!
blows it up. Everything, because it'll be stretched out in such a way that when he does his cry, it's a number of units within 2d6 inches.
Right.
And so if I have any models from those units, the entire unit can fire if any of the models are within 2d6 inches of the Griffhound.
Right.
And then you basically like zone one edge of your board so they can't drop on that side no matter what, and then you have the Griffhound on the other side that matters, that you can't zone out. And then, as if this wasn't ridiculous enough, like Urbaz, all the actual like in battalion stuff, none of them are restricted to to Kharadron Overlords only. So
Okay.
like they get a once per game double pile-in ability,
Okay.
where they can either shoot in the hero phases if it's shooting, or pile in with one of their units in the combat phase if it's a pile-in, or I think they can charge as well in the hero phase. And so I can use that if I wanted to on my Volkite unit. If I didn't want to delete something with one of the other stuff, I could use it on my Volkite unit.
Gotcha.
And on top of that, the Prospector ability, which I choose a piece of terrain, and any unit that is on or within a piece of terrain, which it means I have to have a model on that terrain from each unit, it will that unit is Battle Shock immune.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty good. Because basically the general makes the Volkites Battle Shock immune, so they don't have to touch terrain, and then the other two units just have to snake out, to conga line out, to have one model on that terrain piece. So no matter where they move, as long as they have one model on that terrain piece, the whole unit's Battle Shock immune.
Gotcha.
I feel pretty good about that list. I mean, it's filthy as hell.
It's a lot of dudes.
It's a lot of bodies. It's a ton of shooting. Everybody has ranged attacks. So even the guys that don't have the light sky hooks, the Arcanite Company, still have 12-inch guns.
Sure.
The Fire Slayers have 8-inch axes. Everybody has ranged weapons in that entire army. It's pretty fantastic. And so the only key is drops, which like the concern would be getting like Alpha Struck and losing a bunch of models to Battle Shock, but the Prospector ability triggers as soon as the game starts. So everybody becomes Battle Shock immune as long as I'm starting on that terrain piece. So that's pretty good.
Dig it.
So I feel pretty good about that list.
So is this, well, that's like a 2,000 point list, right?
Yeah, that's a
so
real
you're not
list.
taking that to Havoc or anything?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, Havoc is going to be some, if I take KO, it's going to be some mixed KO list.
Right.
It's a very standard, because everything's under 1,000 points, like, and it's going to be like light on heroes, which it would be anyways, but light on heroes, heavy on infantry, or heavy on, boots on the ground. So I'll probably still take a ship though, because we have a 500 point sideboard, so it's worth having a ship.
Yeah, just in case you need it.
Yeah, and be able to airdrop people out of the ship. That's
right.
Pretty good. So,
all
anyways,
right.
Yeah, so that's the list. I feel pretty good about it.
It's a lot of dudes you got like in that list there, Tom. It's quite a few dudes.
It's 100 guys, 4 heroes, 9 balloon guys, and a dog.
And a dog. The important part, never leave home without the dog.
Do we think that they'll alter the KO points other than the Chemist? I don't even know if Chemist is going to alter point-wise. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I don't think they'll change much in the way of KO points, but who knows?
Because I mean, the reality is that the Chemist isn't even. It's not even dominating like any of the scenes. Like even with stacking, it hasn't won any tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, my argument about it would be, I think that given the design time, they would have been the Kharadron Overlord book would have had some oversight from around the same time as the development of GHB2 and the points, right? Like if you think about when KO came out,
they would have been designing it with that in mind. That said, the only thing that I could see changing is if they make changes to like the battle line. I could potentially see like the battle line, the conditional battle line stuff changing. Because right now they have 0 conditional battle line.
And that has been a thing they've seemed more likely to throw out there.
Yep. So
a lot more conditional battle line.
Yeah, so I could see them potentially doing conditional battle line for them. Or maybe not.
I mean, who knows? What I'll say is that the other thing is, if you think about when the experimental points came out for like TO and Fire Slayers, it was right around the same time that the Kharadron Overlords dropped, right?
That's not
so
true.
That tells me that there was... Okay.
The experimental points came out at the end of January. Kharadron dropped at the end of April. You had a 3-month...
I said... Yeah, around the same time. I'm counting that as around the same time in terms of development of a book.
Oh, okay. That's fair then.
In other words, you get what I mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if you take the KO development back, a single book has a shorter development cycle for the book itself than all of the GHB points changes as far as things like playtesting and stuff like that goes, right?
Yep.
Like with the GHB, there was a lot of different groups being touched and a lot of different elements they had to work on there. You've got to write new scenarios. You got to test those new scenarios. If you're making all these points changes, you got to test all the new points changes and all that kind of stuff, right? So yes, my point would be that's why I'm arguing that I think they had line of sight to that book when they were, those two books had line of sight to each other. There you go.
Yeah, and I mean, again, what I would say is that the only thing I would see changing is that I could see them adding balloon troopers as potentially battle line.
As conditional battle line.
As conditional battle line. Yeah. I don't see them adding Thunderers, but I could see them adding some of the troopers. Or some of the like Sky Wardens and Endrin Riggers. Probably Sky Wardens, even though I don't want to field Sky Wardens. I could see them adding Sky Wardens as conditional.
Is Paul airbrushing again? Probably. He's probably airbrushing that guy. That guy.
Yeah, I agree on the ships. I wish that I think the ships are overcosted currently. I think that the big ship needs to come down to probably 400 from 440. I think that even at 400 for allies, it wouldn't matter because you're not going to do anything with that ship in allies. Like you'd need other things,
right? You take just the boat. Like what does just the boat do?
Yeah, just the boat doesn't do anything. So I think the ships. Back to what Des and I were saying. I think the ships. Honestly, if I were making the call, I would have dropped them down to 400. I would have left all the offense the same on all of them. So like very hit or miss, none of it super overwhelming for offensively. I would have increased the wounds by 4 to 8 per ship. I would have dropped their save by 1 so that the big ironclad would have been like a 3-up base with like 20, like some ridiculous number of wounds, but no offense. Like it just needs to be a big meat bag. A big iron-plated floating thing. Right now, it has a little bit, about what the wounds of a normal monster does, and it just, with a 4-up save, it gets shot off the table. Like, it's not scary. It doesn't do anything. It's not real offensive, and it's definitely not defensive. And you're putting all of your eggs in those baskets. So I would have made it more tankier, and then just drop the points just a little bit on each. Like, I would have went, I might have done 260 instead of 280. On the frigate, the ironclad I might have dropped to 400, and I might have dropped the gun hauler to maybe 200. I wouldn't have taken it under 200 because even the gun haulers, they're not real good, but they're still better than cannons, and cannons are priced at like 180 to 200.
Right.
And it's doing basically the same damage that a cannon is. and it's a lot easier to shoot off the crew from a cannon. So I wouldn't have changed that a lot, but on the top end, I would have brought that stuff down a little bit, just because I mean, like, it's just so expensive, and you're not adding a lot to your. You're functionally adding. You're paying all that cost to drop something, to airdrop something 9 inches out from the enemy, where like Fire Slayers can do that for 80 points. So yeah.
That still seems rather aggressive, what you're describing there.
Of what?
Like dropping the points and adding that number of wounds.
Well, and that's what I would do some mix of those things.
Gotcha.
Like adding wounds, dropping the save, and probably lowering points just a touch. Like I wouldn't. Dez. I don't know that I would drop the gunships, gun haulers down to 180. Like they are a killer buy at 180.
Well, what I'll say is, as long as cannons remain at like 180, you can't drop the gun hauler to the same thing. Yeah. I understand cannons can fire twice, which, don't get me wrong. That's
with full crew.
With full crew. Don't get me wrong. That's a big advantage, right? Like it is. I fully accept that.
So it lasts for 1 or 2 rounds?
I mean, yes and no. Depends on the army you're fighting, right?
Yeah.
If you're fighting like Khorne Bloodbound, you get all the effectiveness out of that cannon for quite a while. Yep. That thing is going to sound off until something happens to get over to it. You know what I mean?
Yep. But if you're fighting anybody with an arcane bolt,
sure. Then zip zap. Yes, I agree. Like, that I stare down the cannons. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I know what the cannon world looks like. And Kevin, my often opponent who plays Empire, he finally discovered eventually that he, with his little porcupine build, that the Hellstorm rocket battery was much better, which I told him back in the beginning, but he never listened to. But like when you can take that Hellstorm and fire all 3 rockets at a single target, and it's like super buffed by engineers and Celestial Hurricanums and everything, like the round where all those missiles whack one thing, it's just like, oh yeah, 3d6 wounds at like -2 ren. Sure. Yeah, pick it up. That thing is dead.
Yeah, it's almost like a Caradron Light Skyhook.
It's an artillery strike. Yes, it's rather disgusting. I don't mean artillery like the type in there. I mean like modern artillery.
Yes.
In the modern world, leaders solve problems with words. Words like carpet bombing.
Yep.
That is still one of the best openings to a game ever, by the way. I referenced it when I finished my Exorcist missile launcher. I don't know that anybody got the reference, but Command & Conquer Generals has one of the greatest openings ever, so I stand behind that. That game was tight.
The best.
It was pretty good. Welcome back, Paul.
Oh yeah.
How goes your adventure there, Paul?
It's not bad. It's doing things. Let's see what we'll see here.
I don't like painting things. When
you just stop there, probably. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't like painting things. When I have like other things I need to attach to them, like, and they're not. Yes, but when like I still have green stuffing and shit to do. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like where I'm going to have to actually go in and like after things are painted, like build and then repaint over to the building area.
What could you possibly be in that situation in?
Yeah, what in God's name are you talking about?
And why are you in that situation? Like, I'm going to need more explanation on this one, man.
Who are you?
What are you doing here? What is going on? Who am I? Oh, sorry, that went too far. Okay. What do you mean? Like, describe what you're dealing with.
Let's start again.
All right, we're ready.
Thunderers only get 1 weapon of each type per box.
Okay, sure. Classic. So standard move.
So if you want 10 Aether Cannons, you need to buy 10 boxes.
Well, I mean, that's not true either, but okay, let's go.
Like if you don't want to convert them.
Sure.
And so, but for some of the weapons, for many of the weapons, they only fit with one body type and one arm set.
Okay.
And one backpack, which means that like you literally have to have everybody be mono pose with that one weapon in order for it to work.
Okay. I mean, obviously this is a solvable problem, but continue.
And I was like, nope, homie, don't play that. So I'm like, and the way that these guns are, like they cover the whole front of the torso. And so like you have to paint around there's enough small detail that painting around them is a problem. So you need to like paint the arms, paint the bodies, and then glue it all together.
Yep, sure.
But the arms and like the tubes that come out of the guns and go to the backpacks don't all fit together because they weren't made the same unless you're doing the identical stuff.
Okay.
So like
yes.
Yes. So what I'm doing is like I'm doing a bunch of different sets of arms for different bodies that they don't work for normally. That I'm having to paint separately, and then I'm going to glue on, and then like green stuff around and repaint those areas. And then like the tubes, I'm going to have to cut the tubes that go from the guns to the backpacks to actually make it look like their original, even though they're going to backpacks they don't normally go to, and then paint over all that.
I feel like better planning could have served you here. I don't know. Like it feels like there should be a solution to this.
Yeah, it feels like it, but GW hates us, so there's not.
God hates me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that that's true, number one. And well, I mean, they might hate you. I don't know. Given your angry Twitter rants, I'm not sure how they feel about you, to be completely honest.
Given Ben Johnson's opening line to me.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Yeah, man, that's why you really need to be on Twitter, Paul, so you can, and it just like, yeah, I anxiously await for the days when some new thing is released. That way I get to watch Tom's angry Twitter rant where he overreacts and then has to like wheel it back later in the day. It's fun to watch.
Just like every Magic the Gathering release.
This shit's busted. It's fucking ridiculous. How could a game possibly function? Everything's the worst. My name's Tom. I hate things.
Yes,
yeah, pretty close.
God, Tom, if you played active Magic where you were keeping up with like the sets and stuff that were coming out.
Nope, I know better.
I can only imagine the awful world that would entail.
Like there would be so much like angsty, angry, like nope. I know myself. I'm comfortable with me that's on this journey, and that is not a journey I want to be on.
Yeah, that would be, my God. Absolutely.
All right.
They are designing that game for someone that's not me.
Hey Vince, what would you thin Warcolors inks with?
What would I thin Warcolors inks with? Why would I thin Warcolors inks is a good question. They're pretty thin, man. What? Like, are you really talking about like you just need to filter? Is that what it is?
No, I don't know. All right.
He would make a filter.
Look, if you ruin this, I'm just saying.
He would make a filter with thinner, airbrush thinner, like a 50-50 airbrush thinner, and then he would blow it through the airbrush and create a filter for that color. Is that right, Vince?
Sure, yes. If you're talking about through an airbrush, yes, I would go 50-50 with Vallejo thinner mix, yes. That is accurate. Tom has predicted it. He probably can't hear us anymore because he might not be on his headset, but either way, Godspeed.
I've clearly spent enough time around you, Vince, to predict the kind of answers that you're going to throw out.
That's what I said. So I'm doing the airbrushing thing, and why would you give me tips for brushing on ink? Seriously, why would?
Because did you thin it?
I don't know what you're doing. How would I know what you didn't say if I was going to airbrush it? You were sitting there brush painting, and you asked me a question. Yeah, I'm the crazy person here. You're right.
You are the goddamn crazy person.
Look at me, I'm Vince. I paint all the time and I do stuff. Yeah.
Let me hit
you with some knowledge.
That is literally a perfect me impression. Yes, you've nailed it.
Every time I turn on one of your videos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. Vince, can you stop being a 12-year-old girl?
So Tom, what's next up after you finish these Thunderers?
Well, I'm hypothetically painting a chemist at the same time.
Okay.
Only I've been looking at this chemist for like 3 months. Like
okay.
He's what put me on hold. And so and I started to paint today, and I'm like, nope, I don't like where this is going. So I just stopped. So I probably need to get paint on him. I had planned on putting paint on him like while I was doing these Thunderers, but that's not going to happen. So I probably need to make a dent in that guy. And then
what is it about him that's throwing you off?
Like, it's just there's like 800 different metal pieces, and it's not clear what the color scheme should be.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, there's just way too much detail, and there's too much stuff touching other stuff. Like, it's just not an obvious yeah. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. Like, no joke. I have been in the same situation many times where I get a piece that I'm just like, there are too many different materials that aren't making sense in the way they're laid out on this model.
Yes.
I don't know where to go with it.
Yep. And so I for the Thunderers, they were very busy as well because they have like backpacks and tubes and weapons and shit. So just like all over them. And so like, I was like, well, I know this needs to be gold. So I was like, well, I'm going to start painting. I'm going to just keep painting one model until I have a semi scheme of like colors not touching other colors and being balanced on the model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I did that, and I'm like, okay, these guys work. Maybe then if I go back to the chemist, I can, and then I'm like, I start looking at him. I'm like, nope, he's going back on the shelf. So I haven't touched him yet. So I probably need to do that chemist next. Like, I just need to buckle down, figure out what that needs to be. I at least made the decision that his insulated suit needs to not be blue. Not be my catabrack blue. Because that's the main suit of all of my normal guys.
Yeah.
And it's not, he's going to even though he's super bulky, he needs to not look like a normal company.
Right.
And so I think I'm going to go black with that.
Gotcha.
And give it more of a working leather hazmat suit look.
Okay.
And then, but I'm just gonna wait and do all that at the same time. So I'm gonna do that guy next, and then I'll probably do another company of 10. I'll go back and do an Arcanaut company. Those guys will go pretty quick. And then I'll probably go to my balloon dwarfs, and I think I'm going to save my airship till last. No, I'll do my airship, and then I'll save my warlord till last. So that if I have a bunch of extra time, I can lavish attention on him. If I don't, then I can just whip him out and not compete in the warlord painting contest.
Fair enough.
So that's kind of where I'm at. But it's refreshing not having 800 bajillion models to paint, because this is still a not heavy model count army, all things considered. I know with me talking about 100 models on that one force, you wouldn't naturally go that way. The reality is, a normal KO force is not a very high model count army.
Sure. Des says that chemists come from a universal guild, if he recalls. So having him in that kind of suit would be an appropriate choice narratively, I think, is the implication there.
You mean in a hazmat suit, or in a in the same suit as the company?
I think he means you'd be fine to have him come from to have his color scheme be different, because he wouldn't have the same suit as the company or whatever.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep, and that's the idea, is that I want it to feel a little bit more. Well, and what the other half of this that I'm going to do is I want to distinguish my chemists, because I'm going to have multiple. And so one, I'm going to give a gun for the earbuster guy, my guy that has the super gun. For my item. I want to be able to model that, and then I'm going to model one as a general, because that's going to happen normally in my normal world that I'm living in.
What I want to know is, when is Games Workshop going to rip off Dune? I was just thinking about this. How sweet would it be Like, and I don't mean that in any kind of bad way. Like, draw homage from it. Look, we've referenced like a bunch of other sci-fi properties, right? Like Tyranids are clearly inspired by aliens, the xenomorphs and stuff like that, right? That's all fine. Who cares? My question is, when are we gonna get like? Yeah, well, like why don't we have some sweet like you when you were mentioning the guild? All I could picture was like a force with like a
drug
David Lynch's Dune, you know, when the Spacing Guild comes in to meet the Emperor at the beginning, and they're in like that big sweet train thing. I want like a weird brain creature that floats around in like a big giant black train vehicle across the battlefield, and like those weird half cybernetic AdMech looking dudes. Maybe I could just convert an AdMech force now that I'm thinking about it. Those guys do look very Spacing Guild. Huh.
And Vince has another 40k army.
Des says there was a guy with a fully crazy converted Dune Space Marine army that used to come to the events. Yeah, it'd be sweet to make them look like the Sardaukar, like actually from the movie Sardaukar, which are not at all like the book Sardaukar, but who cares? Those guys are sweeter.
Yeah,
like the movie Sardaukar were way sweeter than the book.
I still want to do my Protoss army, like my Stormcast Protoss.
Yeah, sure. Why you mean? I mean, they should just be Tau heads.
Yeah, like Tau heads
right. On Stormcast bodies. Yeah,
with energy swords. Yeah,
yeah.
I want to do that. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do the actual like aliens, Tyranid army, like with the heads from the like Chapter House or whoever it is that makes the actual like true xenomorph heads.
Yeah, I think it is Chapter House. Yeah, makes a true xenomorph head.
Like just everything that's not 40k.
Who says it's not? It's a big universe, man. There's a lot of races in 40k that exist in the fluff that don't have representations in the in the armies.
Oh, really?
Sure. I mean, think of it just like fantasy, right? Consider the old world of fantasy, how many other nations there were in the world
or stuff like
that didn't have like armies, right? I mean, it's the same thing. It's a big universe. Like there's a there's an awesome like group of monsters that I actually read all the fluff on because somebody mentioned them in like a post on Audius site, and they were super cool. I don't remember what their name was, but their story in the fluff is like they're what do they look like? They look kind of like another existing monster, but like an existing sort of thing in the world, but I don't remember what it is. But they're like cybernetically modified this race that stole all their technology, and they just kind of float around. And the Imperium has records on them but like doesn't know what they are because when they never catch them. They always just show up, wipe out a planet, and then leave.
Yeah.
They're just these weird little scavenger monsters that are just unkillable. Oh, that was a neat little story. Like little stuff like that is cool. I like just like in the old world how I always liked the border princes and stuff like that. Those weird sort of corners of the world that you can kind of explore and do something with that's unique.
Yeah.
Hence my love for, Dogs of War and stuff, right? Who doesn't love the old Dogs of War?
We clearly do because we're building a Dogs of War army.
That's true. That is true. I got them Birdmen all teed up, ready to go. We'll see what that we'll see. It's all about the GHB2. What am I running with? I'm gonna laugh.
How can we make Dogs of War?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm gonna laugh when like I love the Slanesh ability more than anything, and I'm like, sorry, you have to play your Nurgle again, Tom. No more KO. No, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you.
It would make my life a little bit easier. I'm not gonna lie.
Where's the fun in that, Tom?
Be like, wait, I don't have to paint any more models.
All right. Well, it's something.
Yeah, there you go. Now, hold on. Let me lock on you here. What ink? That looks good, actually. That looks really good. What ink did you end up going with?
War Colors light green ink.
Wow, that came out really dark for light green. Did you? What was that? Because you had like that brown undershading or something?
Correct. So I had brown undershading, and then I went with the bone color, where I kind of direct airbrushed it where I wanted highlights. But I also had a couple directed washes in there.
I actually think that came out really nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, don't hate it.
I get.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly push it farther, obviously, with some targeted highlights and stuff. But as a base, that's a really nice, that's a really nice green base.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with these guys is there's so much other detail besides the power armor.
Sure.
That, like if you know, it's not like a regular Space Marine that if you skimp on the power armor, it's not like you're losing out on the whole model.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, with normal Space Marines, they're like normal Space Marines are like the airbrusher's dream come true, right? Because if you have the base airbrushed, you often have like 90% of the model done, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe I should make one of those armies.
Well, you went even simpler. The Custodes are like the next level of simple, even below that.
There we go. That's a little more in focus though. Yeah, it didn't come out too bad.
No, it looks good. It's a good tone. Looks nice, and it's rich but still kind of sickly. It drifts a little into the brown, a little into the yellow, you know?
Yeah. All right.
That was like the one you looked at earlier in the show. My issue with it was really like too green. It had too much emerald to it, right?
Yeah, it's just like very green.
It was verdant.
Yeah, yes. That's a great
healthy
word for it. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes. Like green has obviously the sort of, imparts the feeling of life for obvious reasons, right? And if
you need death.
Yeah, like if something looks too healthy, if it's too much in that green, I feel like it's not Nurgle anymore.
I know all about paint and death. I go for like the straight yellow brown.
Sure.
Like screw green. I'll wash and tint with green. Going for the yellows and the browns. Just ugly.
So what's your next steps there, Paul?
I think I'm going to selectively pick out some details on the armor. Probably come back to the bone color, see how it works. I put a tiny bit of green tint in there. So it's not just like white on there. See how that kind of comes out. And then I will very likely maybe do some shading in terms of like some sort of directed stuff to kind of edge in some of those things. And then I think I'll probably put some metal on here. Try out some of that liquid gold stuff.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Why is that a terrible idea?
I don't like liquid gold.
Because Tom's scared of it.
I am scared of it.
It's scary. Does it make you sad?
It does make me sad.
You got to, working with liquid gold is, it's not easy, but it's incredibly rewarding because when it dries, it looks freaking amazing. But Paul's not afraid of the effort, Tom. That's what it is. See, he's up for the challenge.
I'm not. That's why you did a painting challenge video series with him and not me. Because I'm like, nope, not interested in experimenting. If it's outside my skill set, don't want to learn anything new.
Sounds like a great way to live your life. Let's do it.
It's awesome.
It's a great attitude, Tom.
I have consistent paint jobs. I am happy.
Who likes progress? Not this guy.
You know what progress is?
Not this guy.
Getting models painted. That's progress to me.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That is progress. You're not wrong. I mean, I must agree with your definition.
Yes, you must agree with it, Vince.
That's what I just said. That's correct. I just feel like, yeah, I feel like Tom and I had a big argument where I went back and forth because I said, what if you're painting an army and you've done something, X percentage of the army is finished, whatever that happens to be, and you discover a new technique midway through that looks way better. Okay. do you utilize the new technique, but knowing that it will make the troops look slightly different? Or do you just keep painting the objectively worst way for consistency? And Tom, what's your answer?
Consistency every time.
See, that's what we call crazy, folks.
Because while some of the troops may look better, the problem is the lack of consistency amongst the troops will drive me insane every time I put those models on the table.
You're a madman. You're just a madman.
Sure. It's true.
What I will say is I don't think people will, or you would even notice. That's what I'll say.
But I do.
It's really hard. So I thought this was an interesting discussion to have with you, Vince.
Okay.
Have you done enough tournaments where, like, you try to do well in the painting category? And have you ever noticed that, like, tournament painting is like army painting is like such a different animal than like competition painting? Because I've gone to so many
checklist painting.
Sort of, but it's more like what people love. Like, it's just really weird. It's like the best painted army is not necessarily the most technically best painted army, right? Like, I've seen armies just like lose best painted, and I'd be like, those techniques are way harder, and like that effect is way better up close. And this person next to him just did crazy things, and everyone's like, "That's so amazing!" And I'm like, "Kinda."
It's
the magic pop factor.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my answer. Yes, I've thought a lot about this, and yes, I certainly am often trying to compete for best painted or something like that. So my answer to you is this. Like I'm lucky with my like Zinch Force because it happens to have the factors that
the poppy factor.
The pop factor, in addition to also being a pretty good looking force, I think. Not my best, but it looks pretty good. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. So here's number one. Who's judging it? Who's judging that painting competition?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, because if, like, I'll give you an example. For Once Bitten and Shannon's 9th Age tournament they're running here, or they previously did it, Southern Assault or whatever. They had 3 professional painters come in and judge all of the armies in a 2-pass voting system where the judges went through, gave every army a score of lead, bronze, silver, and gold. Okay, lead was like you failed to meet the minimum painting standards. Then bronze, silver, gold. And then everybody who was gold actually, like, overnight in between day 1 and day 2, the judges came in and did like a really deep dive into the few gold armies to figure out who was the best. And all of them are experienced painters. They've all judged contests before. They're all commission painters, right? Like, they understand what techniques are actually being employed. Yeah. And so, like, they're not susceptible to the pop factor, right? Where it's just like, oh, you used a bunch of plasma type light blue, hence your army wins, right? You look the best.
Plasma.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a great color. Like, having poppy blue or lava effects is a great way to get your army selected for like best painted or whatever.
You can do both of them in an army. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint.
You've won.
I've won already.
So,
that's my KO army. I don't know if you know that or not, Paul.
I don't.
So
well, good for you.
Indeed.
Thanks. I am playing the system.
Sure. Now what I'll say is that if it's not, if it's being judged by player vote, then it's a crapshoot. You know, you either get lucky enough to have enough people like your army or not. If it's being judged
if you're famous, that adds votes.
I'm not sure that's true or not. I don't know. Probably, I'm sure there's some kind of level you could be at where that would happen. I don't know.
Like how famous?
Yeah, like, I mean, sure.
Like Warhammer Weekly famous.
I don't think that. Jesus God.
Dang, the fame's cray.
Yeah, I don't. If anyone voted for me because they knew me or something from YouTube, that would surprise me. I don't think I don't think that's why anybody voted for like me at NashCon. But
we did take first and third. I want to point that out.
Sure. I mean, you had a good looking army. I would, whatever. Again, I don't think that was a factor. Maybe I'm being silly about it, but I really don't think so. If it's being judged by the TO, so the sliding scale here of how much cheap painting tricks matter is like they matter the most if it's pure player vote. They matter middling if it's the TO, depending on what how experienced the TO is, and they matter the least if you have professional paint judges, right? So knowing what that situation is a big deal. And the problem is that because it's not really the primary purpose of the event, it's rare that you're going to actually have them publish in advance like a what we care about in the same way that like ReaperCon or Nova or somebody like that, like a professional painting competition is going to do, where they'll put up like percentages, right? And say like technical difficulty is 15%, painting skill is 60%, you know what I mean, like blah 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 blah. So like exactly what the standard you're being held against, right? And the judges grade to that standard. That's just not going to happen with the vast majority of sort of painting competitions that are part of a tournament, and that's fine. It's I would say figure out how it's getting judged and set your expectations accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, you can't control for a lot of it. So the answer is that you play, in the words of Littlefinger, you fight every battle on all fields at every point in time. So you build, like you paint so that it's going to hit all of those categories.
Did we figure out if that was a Sun Tzu quote?
I don't know. I mean, sounds like it certainly could have been, but I have no idea. It was pretty baller, though. I certainly dug it. I love that dude. Hope he never dies. He probably will because I like him, but that's okay.
He's not going to make it out of the season. I hope you know that.
You're probably right, but that's okay. He's like one of my faves, man. That dude's great. He's great. Like that actor is really good, and
he's really great at his role. Like, I mean, I don't personally. I like Littlefinger for what he is. I'm not like a huge fan of his character, but like for what he is, he's great.
Sure. I mean, he's no Braun. Let's be honest. Come on now. Star of the show.
That dude be funny, bro.
If it was just like Braun and the Hound and we just flipped back and forth between those two stories and just like the two of them distantly talked about whatever everybody else is doing, it would be the best show on television.
Great. So my friend, the episode where the Hound,
we should be careful here. If we're going to spoil anything, we will have to say that. But
this was like several seasons ago.
Okay, very good.
So at this point, I feel like you can go die.
That's fine. If you're not in current season, yes.
The Hound went into the forest and like killed those guys that like killed the villagers hanging out with.
So good.
My friend
just like walking forward with that axe.
My friend like came like after the episode. We were all like, "Oh, that was amazing." He like took the clip and then put it to X gonna give it to you.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
X gonna give it to you, and I was like, "This is the best thing in the world."
That is amazing. That I love. All right, talk amongst yourselves for just a moment. I'll be right back.
Oh man. Did we miss on the? Oh no, we're good still.
So, you gonna give AOS a shot at some point?
I was telling Vince I probably will. It's hard. The Bay Area guys, I think some of them are playing, but none of my local group is playing.
Yeah.
So it's been, difficult to see. And I think a lot of people were just so turned off from the initial release that
legitimately, I think that makes sense.
It's been hard to get people to come back. So, if I get some.
But if you can get 40K,
40K going on.
Yeah. The reality is if you get some 40K eighth in, you're going to get a flavor for what AOS is.
Yeah, so I figured we can do that, and then maybe go down to Sacramento and find some guys. I think some guys down in Sacramento are doing it. It's a hike,
Yep.
Even though it's not terrible, it's just like weekday or something.
Yep. I have family in the Sacramento area, so.
Yeah. The road to get into Sacramento, for anyone who is not familiar with the area, I'm not going to name the road just because it's not going to mean anything, but the road to get into Sacramento from where I am is just notoriously atrocious. So your 25-minute trip could easily turn into an hour trip just on a given time, which makes it nerve-wracking to do any sort of commitment.
Yep. You just never know if you're going to be late or not.
Yeah. So I'm going to go, but I mean, 40K is always extremely popular, and a lot of the local gaming group guys picked it back up with the boon of 8. So
yeah, I finally pulled the trigger and actually bought boxes. I haven't actually put anything together yet, but super, like, one of the reasons why I loved the Custodes was I was like, man, these Forge World models are awesome.
I still have not got a Forge World model, and like I feel like I need to, because like I do sit there and I look at them like, wow, so many of these are so sweet.
Well, here's the kick in the junk, is that they don't actually have any of them have 8th edition rules for the Custodes.
Oh,
so like all the stuff that I really like love the look of, I can't actually run any of it. Like I could get it and paint it, with the army, but I can't actually like run any of them with rules.
With the speed at which they're going, I think that you're probably going to have that change pretty quickly, though.
Well, I'm hoping, because that will probably, like, I want to do like the grav tank, or the huge flipping like tank for the Custodes, and I want to do the new, like the Forge World Open or Games Day or whatever it is, the big jet. There's this huge fighter jet that they
released. The new one?
Yeah, it's amazing. Did they confirm if that's going to have like 40K rules in addition?
None of them do. Like, none of the Custodes stuff have rules for 8th edition.
Not none. Some does, just not enough does.
No, none of them. None of the Custodes stuff has 8th edition rules.
Are you talking about the Forge World specific Custodes stuff?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yes, that's true.
And that's what I'm bitching about, because those are the sweet ass models. Those are
They
the
are
ones
amazing.
that sucked me in. And I was like, okay, I'll do this army. Like, they have this awesome discount box that's been discontinued. I'll pick that up, and then I'll pick up some of the sweet ass Forge World vehicles, like a big tank and a jet, and then somebody's like, and these big power armor suits, and then somebody was like, yeah, those don't actually work in 8th edition, and I'm like, fuck. Keep this game. Ridiculous.
Tell me how you really feel.
So now I'm disappointed, because I can't actually play the things that the awesome looking models that I want to play.
Well, I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
That's what Paul was saying. He was trying to cheer me up.
Sure. I mean, Forge World's always behind with getting those rules out, but to be fair, it's only a matter of time.
They've been going pretty hard on the 40K.
Yeah. And those models are so sweet, and why would they not want to sell a ton of them? And hooking it into the bandwagon of, like, the sales machine that is new 40K. I'm just saying.
Dude, GW must be so pumped.
Their stock value's doubled since last year. Is that right? Tripled.
That's insane.
Yep. It's been very successful. Like, since GHB 1 and with the lead up into 40K, it has been nothing but up.
Their company. Yes.
Shocking. You start talking to the customer and they start doing well.
It is shocking it took them this long to figure it out, but I'm glad we're here. That's what I'll say. Like, I'm glad we finally got to it. Good. Yes, Kiblams, we do read the chat. It just takes time sometimes, because in the middle of painting, I don't always look up and read, but yes.
A lot of us are.
We do. I absolutely try to check the chat every so often. As to the Custodes booklet that just came out for 8th. Sorry, I see the question now that ties that in. Yes, the Custodes booklet that came out for 8th gave you all the rules for the Talons of the Emperor stuff, which is what Tom has, which is
But
the
I already
basic.
have the book. Like I have the codex, so I don't need any of that stuff.
Sure. So it's like their Land Raider, the Rhino for the sisters, the Custodes themselves, and then a couple of the other auxiliary things like that.
Right. But if you have the codex, you don't like code volume 2 or whatever. You don't need any of that.
Yes. And Chris asked, have I started a Great Unclean one for the hobby challenge? No. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. They get such a horrendous idea out of your mind. I will never paint a Great or Unclean one. That is not going to happen. Did you get that clean? I just wanted to make sure, because it was weird. I heard it in stereo because it was so loud. Yes, I actually heard it in my headset and echoing from Kentucky, which is weird. But no, I mean, yes, it's been they've been very successful with the relaunch, and good. They did a bunch of the right stuff. Keep it up.
Yeah, I mean, it just means whatever game system you're into from them, it's just gonna get more support.
There you go. Mortarion, Vince.
Would I paint Mortarion? Maybe. I mean, like, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't ever buy Mortarion. That's the problem. So I don't know how I would paint.
What, $120?
Yeah, like I wouldn't. If I was going to drop that,
but you probably.
Sure. Well, whatever. He's roughly man-sized, so let's say he's like $80 or something. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
They said someone kept saying he's on like 100 round.
So he's going to be the size of Celestin Prime, right?
Okay.
I know. Well, I know. I'm sorry, but whatever.
No, I'm laughing about the Celestin Prime comment because of our conversation previously.
No,
where I'm like, he's just a repackaged Celestin Prime, and you guys are like, no, he's smaller than that. No, he's Celestin Prime.
But either way, like the Celestin Prime isn't like $120 model, right? He's like 80, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
I would imagine he'll be in that range. I don't know for sure, but whatever. I mean, like if you look at Robute Kulaman, if you look at that guy, he's in the 3-pack, but you can get him on the bit sites individually for usually around $40, right?
Yep.
Secondhand. And even the 3-pack is, he's not that cost because you're getting those other figures too. Yep. But the problem with, like, would I paint Mortarion? Maybe, but I would never buy him. And so I don't know how I'd get him. If somebody just sent me a Mortarion for some weird reason, I'd probably paint him, sure. I'm not asking somebody to send me a Mortarion. That's not what I'm trying to do there.
Become a patron now.
Yeah. No. No, I just mean, like, I don't know when that occasion would come up. I'm not like, he's an interesting model. And I like his wings. I probably would buy the wing bits to do like a fun aerial conversion or something, right? Out of Valarial. I'll go for the old, because she used to have the bug wings, right?
I totally went a different direction there.
What were you thinking? I'm talking about the Disney princess?
Yes. I was like, the mermaids don't have.
That would actually be a pretty sick conversion, just like a mutant ass Ariel.
Yeah,
well,
she went to Ursula, and instead of asking for legs, she was like, "Nah, screw that. Legs are
power to murder everyone."
Yeah, give me some sweet wings. That'll get me up on land. I'll be good to go. Just like flying over people with my buzzing insect wings while I whap them with my tail. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great question. Like, why did she ask for legs when she could have asked for wings? Like, she doesn't know the need for legs and girl parts.
I think we assumed she already had girl parts.
I don't think
this is getting into a very weird space. So I'm going to go back to Vlad's question. Because Vlad asked you to talk about your Swift Hawk agents. I will say then Chris Smith said, God, no, please, no. But nonetheless, the question got asked. And
I do want to do a Disney Princess Chaos Army, though.
Sure. Absolutely. So Smoke Bomb, Tom, talk about your Swift Hawk agents. How would you build a Swift Hawk agents list? In your mind of like what this looks like post whatever. Because you said you thought it was going to come into its own. So you've clearly got to have some conceptions. How many sky cutters, Tom?
Not a lot. Like I would probably run two sky cutter, 2 buffers maybe. Sky cutter buffers with the banners. I would run I mean, I think the right answer is to run the
I don't even know what the buffer does. What does
plus
the
one 18-inch plus 1 wound bubble?
Is it for everybody?
Yes, and it stacks.
Okay.
And so it's a passive plus 1 wound. So everybody goes to like 2 up to wound
Gotcha.
base.
Sure. Is there anything
then,
in that? Is there anything in that army that's triggering off of that? Like, is there any advantage to that? Where you know, like,
no, you like triggering like special attack, like mortal wounds or anything. No.
Yeah.
No, but you could do. You could get. You could do the Hurricanum and give everybody +1 to hit, so that everybody's like on 3 up, 2 up. And you're double firing, like let's say you have a block of 20 Reavers, they have 3 shots each, so 60 shots. You can double fire with a battalion, so 120 shots at 3 up, 2 up, and that's 1 block of those, and you can have multiple sets of those. And then you could run. Yeah, I don't know. I need to think about it, but I think that there might be a viable competitive list in there.
I think it would be hilarious if the Hurricanum dropped down to like much cheaper and then became only free peoples or something ridiculous like that. Like if it got
how much of a kick in the teeth would that be? Yeah.
Right. If it got nipped in the bud like that, like finally everybody can ally with it and they balance it by, realigning it with like a certain faction or something. That would be hilarious.
And that would give them spell casting as well. So the advantage of that is that it gives them, it would give them a caster in the Hurricanum, because that's one of their weaknesses. They didn't have a wizard.
Right. Okay.
So like that's where I would go. I think. And then maybe if I have extra points, they always had a weird point distribution. Like, so if you've ever built lists with them, you always had like 80 points left over, and they didn't have anything to fill those gaps. And with those, you could probably do like 1 to 2 Griffhounds as well. And with a hyper shooty list like that, 1 to 2 Griffhounds obviously are going to have some value.
Sure. Are Griffhounds just now like the new allied hotness for all the shooting lists? Are they just showing up everywhere? Is everybody recruiting Stormcast dogs for their armies?
I mean, what I would say is this: there's not a lot of units that are better at filling out 40-point gaps.
Sure, it's fair.
Because they're 40 for 1. So I mean, I think that there's definitely value there.
Speaking of which, I assume you saw the destruction update today.
I did.
Did you notice the fanatic change?
I did. That's a huge kick.
Well, I mean,
to destruction lists.
Is it?
It is.
Okay. So why? Walk me through why.
Yeah. So one, the minimum cost for you to get fanatics
is now 100 points.
It's now 100 points, up from 20.
Well, sure,
up from 30. Up from 30. Okay.
Up from 30. But let's be fair. It's not like they didn't.
Every time you want to interrupt. Okay.
They didn't. I understand. I know where you're going now, but I want to make sure that we're clear for the viewers, right?
Yeah.
What didn't happen is fanatics did not go from 30 points to 100 points each, right? Instead, the minimum went from 1 for 30 to 3 for 100. So like they only went up sort of 3 1/3 points each. But the min size changed completely. Okay,
right.
So now that we're all on the same page, I just want to make sure everybody understood. Please.
Yeah, and then the other half of this equation is that when the fact said that whenever you release them, you have to release all fanatics in the unit have to be released.
Right.
And before that didn't matter because you bought a bunch of units of 1. So you'd release 1, and if that one didn't stick, you released another one. And if that one didn't stick, you released another one. Now you're going to release 3 at a time.
Gotcha.
Well, you're not going to be able to have a bunch of flights of 3s of hundreds of points invested in these interceptors.
Sure.
That's a problem. Like, they can't do the job that they were doing previously.
Can't seems a bit strong. Won't
like
do it
for
as
the
well.
like for the
strong.
price. Like you needed, like, you didn't have a lot of points.
Sure.
So you'll have this trick once instead of like 3 times.
That seems better to me. I like that. I always felt like the 1 at a time thing was kind of beardy, anyways. So
yeah, or 7, yeah, whatever. Yes, that's my point. Is that they are losing some of that functionality, and that's painful. And so, yeah, they're gonna feel that. Yeah, did you see that in the margins you could tell, like, so I saw some other interesting stuff. The Squigs, their battle line, which we knew was going to happen, but their min size didn't go up, so they're still 5 for 60.
Right.
So, like, like, people were afraid that, like, min battle line was going to be over 100 for 100 points for everybody or whatever.
I don't know why people thought that.
We still have some cheap min battle line.
Of course, you're going to still have some cheap min battle line. Like, it's hilarious to me that everybody went from, like, when we were talking about them giving the game away, okay, and I mentioned like, clearly some units are going to have their minimum number increased. That all of a sudden we just jumped to this conclusion as a community that all of them are going up and the sky is falling and that everything's going to be 100+ points. Like, we really got out the jump to conclusions, Matt.
Well, we didn't.
No, I'm saying we as a
community. Yeah, not us, necessarily. So it was a fear of mine, but it's not something I was sure was happening.
I want to answer a few comments real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so because I looked up for my painting.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Christmas says, I have a lot of elves. I have never seen such horrible mold lines on the spearmen. And then somebody said, I got the hero on mount set. The mold lines had mold lines. It's a good joke, Vlad. Christopher Nelson said, have you ever tried the P3 paint range, Vince? My local shop put up a new display and I was thinking about trying them out. I will openly admit that P3 is a paint range I have the least experience with because it comes in pots and pots of the devil. That being said, I have used all of their inks extensively and quite love them. Their inks are fantastic. Specifically, I have a couple favorites. Their armor wash is great. Their flesh wash is pretty decent. Their turquoise ink is just the best in the universe. And then, their red and blue and green are all quite lush and nice as well. And those, for whatever reason, they're like, their inks are in dropper bottles. Why? I don't know. I have no good explanation for this. Just that's how it is. I mean, but P3 I'm sure is fine. That is to say, like, there are people who swear by them and use quite a bit of them. I know, like, a lot of the Warma Hordes painters use them. Sam uses them quite a bit. Sam Lenz. So I mean, I'm quite sure they're fine.
I have 2 staples that I use that are in my normal lineup. I use the Blighted Gold for my Nurgle as the base color for my Nurgle Gold. Like my brassy gold. And I use Goblin Green as well for the base color on all of my Goblin skin. And it's the Goblin Green is the old school Goblin Green from GW. Like from the old paint range.
Yeah.
So and I've enjoyed those. And then I use the armor wash as well.
So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Now, back to the heck are we talking about? You were talking about something. I don't remember. The goblins. Yeah, destruction. Okay.
That the I'm wondering if we're gonna get a War Scroll update with any of this stuff.
I mean, yes, we know that there will be at least a few War Scroll changes in here. Yes, they have said openly that's happening.
Because the Goblin War Boss on Great Squig jumped up an inexcusable 50% cost from 80 to 120. He's in the margin of that night, the Moon Clan stuff.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, like you can barely see, but like you can see like part of his name and you can see the cost at 120.
Okay.
And that dude is not worth 80.
Sure. So you're saying
now he's 120.
Right.
So I have to hope that they're changing his war scroll. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha. That's fair. Yeah, because I was looking at that. That's funny you mentioned that.
Harry Pike had made a comment about the squigs, and I was like, yeah, did you see also the inexcusable? And then it was like a couple people retweeted my comment because it's nonsensical. Like, nobody was running that dude.
Well, that tells me there's probably a war scroll update there then.
He was a bad beater.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I looked at him because they mentioned him in the article, right?
Yeah, they do.
And I was like, oh,
points are not front and center.
Sure. I went and looked and was like, all right, well, how expensive is this guy? So I went and looked him up and I was like, oh, he's 80 points. It's a pretty good deal. All right, that's fine.
No, 120.
That's funny.
They're lying to you. Like, you can see it in the margins.
Well, there you go.
All right, Vince. It's time. It's time.
What is it time for?
Vallejo liquid pain in my ass.
Sounds good. Do you have your alcohol? Do you have your 90% isopropyl alcohol ready to go?
Shebang!
Boom! 91% isopropyl alcohol.
Actually, I was gonna get 100%, and I'm actually like nervous. Have you ever used 100%?
Denatured alcohol is what you're talking about, right?
That stuff's like
100% IPA.
deadly.
Yeah, denatured alcohol is 100% alcohol. There's no water in it, and that stuff is jet fuel. I mean, like it is super flammable.
No, we have it all the time. I actually like 100% IPA. I mean, I assume it's very volatile, so it should evaporate. But you can actually strip models with 100% IPA.
Yes, you can. Correct.
So I was a little nervous about it, but.
Yeah, I have a big can of denatured alcohol I use to strip things sometimes. And I keep it in a sealed bucket, which is just like, I'm sure, building up fumes and will explode at the slightest spark. But you know, it's and it just seems unnecessary. The 91% I've never had issues with, so that's what I'll say. Chris Smith said that, you know, the pots are in the old style GW from the 90s and he hasn't had drying issues. That may or may not be. I'm not as concerned with the drying issues. I mean, clearly GW's pots are like awful because they do suck. Just today, I had a bottle of Typhus Corrosion that I hadn't touched for a little while that I was getting down to do some weathering on that base I made for the for my Penitent engine, you know, and I opened it up and I was like, oh, nope, that's a solid chunk. Okay, never mind.
You can also buy these eyedroppers on
Yes.
Amazon for like a bundle of 100 of them for not very much money. And that's usually what I do.
Yes, but that takes extra work, and Vince
It does.
refuses to do extra work.
Yeah, why would I want to move paints that I'm not even that enamored with into pots that are usable?
I am 100%. Yeah, I'm actually behind you on this one. I don't think GW, like, they charge too much and it's not even that good of paint.
Right.
Personally. So I was just saying, for someone who really wants to use it, I would say if you want to get your money's worth, you should probably get dropper bottles, because otherwise you're going to have what Vince just said.
Yeah.
Be shitty.
Yeah, my real problem with the P3, with pots in general, it has nothing to do with the fact that the paints dry out. It has to do with the fact that I don't like pulling paint from pots. Like, dropper bottles onto a wet palette is a very efficient thing. I can just go drop. I know exactly how much I'm getting out of it. I know I put it on the palette. It's quick, it's easy. And I spin through a lot of paint very quickly. And I don't have to like get a brush, get it in there, dig out a random amount, put it on there, that kind of thing. So that's the real issue there. I find it to be extra tedium I don't enjoy.
All right. So I'm going to put this alcohol in a dropper bottle. That seems reasonable, yeah?
That's what I have done. Yes, I keep my alcohol in a dropper bottle, correct?
Let's start
for ease of deployment into the
for drop
gold
ring.
for drop ring. Yes.
Oh, it's on my skin.
It's just alcohol.
I'm okay. It turns out I'm fine.
Yeah. Turns out it's just alcohol, and it's not actually deadly or dangerous. It's fine. Yes, I love liquid gold. Don't get me wrong. Like it's such a beautiful, rich gold. I have found that in most cases, I will just use the I'll just use Vallejo metal color gold, because although it's slightly not as reflective, like liquid gold dries like gold flake. So if I really want something to look
like gold leaf, you mean?
Yeah, gold leaf, sure, whatever. Yes, looks like freaking gold, like the ring on my finger, like when it dries, it's unbelievable. But you know, like finding some mix of, even though there's only these two colors, I can usually mix them in some degree with a little bit of the silver to get the exact gold I want, and I'm good to go. So, and this stuff is, I mean, regular acrylic is so much easier to work with.
So you're just saying I'm wasting my goddamn time?
Yes.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that
that you can do either. That Vince does either, and either is okay.
Yes.
That's exactly what
that is exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
But if you have the choice, always do the metal gold because it looks better.
Yeah, Chris Smith said
personal Vince translator here.
Sure, absolutely. Chris said try the P3 teal, you'll like it. I mean, that may or may not be, but within my vision range, just casting around right now, like I could reach out my hands like this and grab no less than a dozen different colors of teal or turquoise that are within this reach. So I'm not sure I need more. And that's not the ones behind me, because there are more back here.
Yes.
Vince
is stupid.
If it's blue-green, I've got them bases covered. Let me just say that.
Yeah, he has lots of paints.
I do. I like paint. It's fun. And I'm always trying new things.
Night, Des.
Bye, Des.
Yeah, your profusion of paint angers me.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know why it angers me, but it does. When I walk into your room and it's just, there's paint everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, how do you know which one to use?
Highly organized paint.
Yeah, it is, and it's very highly organized, which angers me as well.
All the scale color has its own, like the scale color has its own display rack, and it's all in order by paint set.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'm like a confusion, order stuff.
That's very, very well spoken, Tom. I must say, you really trotted that out with a.
Sorry, I wanted to. I'm rimming or edging this blaster cannon, and that's where my attention was.
Let's just go with edging from now on, and have you never say you're rimming it again ever. How about that? Let's stick with your edging. That's
is
fun.
Edging any better? That's the real question here.
Yes. Yes. I mean, both have bad meanings on Urban Dictionary, but one is clearly in much more common use.
See, my brain is to the level now where I'm just like, I'm just going to choose words and see what comes out of my mouth.
Fair enough.
My base coat is so close. I'm so excited.
Well, this has been very fruitful then. You're accomplishing things, Tom.
I am, because these guys are so ridiculously detailed. Like, I'm so done with this. So I had a realization on Star Wars.
I don't want to hear about it.
All right.
I don't want to hear about it. I saw you mention it on Twitter. I'm not interested in hearing about it.
What are we hearing about?
On the off chance your ridiculous theory is right, I don't want to hear about it.
I think I realized the identity of Rey and Snoke.
I don't want to know. I don't think you're right. As usual, I will side with Steele Saunders from Steel Wars, who did a whole episode called "Your Snoke Theory Sucks," and I agree with him. All the Snoke theories suck, but nonetheless, I don't want to know. Thank you very much.
Okay. When I'm right,
you know what? Write it down on a freaking piece of paper.
I did. That's what Twitter did. It put my flag in the sand.
Well, right, what do we think gold or do we think bronze?
For this guy, I think for your Nurgly dude.
Yeah.
I do brass.
I feel like
I do like a greenish yellow brass.
Yeah, I would say I feel like something in the more bronze variety would work better.
You want more brown, you're suggesting?
But then I gotta...
Yes, that is what I'm suggesting.
Okay. I like more yellow. Like sickly yellow.
All right, we'll try bronze. Or okay, so we got.
I think it's too warm.
Gold, or gold. Those are our options.
Say that again.
We got copper, old gold, or gold.
Oh, that's the other one I use. I have another P3 color I use. I also use brassy balls.
Mm-hmm. Old gold.
This is what we have. This is the options we literally have.
Old gold.
All right.
Old gold is the answer. You didn't even. That's all you had to say. You call in the wolf if you bring in the old gold.
I like brassy bronze, like brassy balls, because I actually do the blighted gold with, and then I'll wash in like the green, the Athonian Camoshade, over the metal, and then I'll highlight with brassy balls, and it gives me this like sickly yellowish gold.
I don't know how you use any of those P3 metallics. It's gross.
Dude, I will say, so this, again, I haven't diversified my metallics, but most metallics are just so bad, I don't know how people use them.
That's what I'm saying. That's like that visible pigment drives me bonkers.
Even like the Reaper was terrible, Minotaur was terrible.
Yes. They're almost all universally terrible, except for Vallejo Metal Color, which is God's gift to us.
Don't get me wrong. I like Vallejo Metal Color.
Is that appropriate?
What's that?
I'm still shaking this. Seems good, right?
I mean, have you put something heavy and metal inside of it?
No.
Like, you'll have to do that. Let me just say that.
Like what? This magnet?
Find a metal mini that you don't want.
Yeah, something that has like an old pewter miniature you don't want or something. I cut them up. Like, here's an old one that has now become a paint pot because it died with that much left in it. Look at how much, it was basically full and it died. But if you listen, like, you can hear the metal thing still clanking around in there.
What the hell do I have that's metal?
You don't need it immediately. Just don't want to put it in
metal.
there at some point in time. Yes, non-ferrous, absolutely. Do not involve Ferris Bueller in any way, shape, or form. He will let you down.
All right. So am I thinning this like normal? Like, what am I doing here?
All right. So my general tactic with this is
Paint it on.
You pour out some into your little pot there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I add in a little, like about 50-50 of the isopropyl alcohol.
Okay.
And just kind of mix it up with do you have a synthetic brush?
I have several nylons ready.
And then you're ready to go. I just kind of mix it up and go. And then I make a separate little pot, like in your little plastic, paint thing there, right? I have two pots. One is my gold mix and one is just pure alcohol so I can clean the brush regularly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm just going to put some alcohol here to the side.
Yep.
Oh, that poured out a lot. That was so much.
It's liquid.
Whoops.
That one. So that's why we put in the dropper bottle, kids. That's what you don't want.
Yes, you just poured alcohol all over your space. Good, GJ. Well done. You've succeeded so far.
It smells so clean, though. We're so clean over here. My eyes are burning.
Yes, I use a little dropper bottle like this.
Oh, I have that, but I just wanted to fill this one quickly because then that'd be faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, how'd that work out for you?
It was faster.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't incorrect about that.
Sure, it's definitely very full of alcohol now. You nailed it.
Most of everything is full of alcohol.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
100% alcohol.
So we're doing good now. All right, so I'm just gonna pop this bad boy open and put some droppers in there. See what happens. Boop.
Yeah, so I posted a thread on my theory, and you can unpack it there, Christopher. That's what I'll say.
So we're gonna clean off the threads.
Yeah, and Red Wizard, by the way, you should be worrying about that Nurgle prediction because the 40K Nurgle stuff's not coming till the end of September. So you're probably looking for a early to mid October if the Nurgle AOS release is going to happen.
I'm not sure that's true.
Really?
Yeah, there's only one codex in the current rumors. There's only one codex in September.
Right, which is the 40K. Are you saying 40K or for?
Correct. There's only one 40K codex in September.
Yeah, that's the space the
Death Guard.
Nurgle, the Death Guard.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That would be the perfect time to release the Nurgle AOS stuff.
Oh, you're saying like, oh, I thought it would be a separate week, like that after all the Death Guard stuff is done.
I think it will. Like, there's no reason you couldn't do it in line, basically.
Like as part of the same release that week. Yeah, maybe.
Well, it doesn't even have to be the same week. It could be the week before, the week after. But my point is that they have a space in the lineup for another codex because every other month has 2 codices coming out. Basically.
Yeah. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is very bright.
Yep.
How many coasts usually do this?
Say that again.
How many coasts usually do this? Just 1, 2.
How many coats? Is that what you asked?
Whatever you need.
I mean, yeah, generally it's 1. Like, that stuff is like painting with, it should cover anything, any color you put it over in 1 coat. If it didn't, you added a little too much alcohol, which is fine. I mean, it's no big deal. You can do 2 quick coats. But the other thing I will say about it is if you accidentally get some of it over, like on a part of the model you didn't want it on, right? Like you accidentally hit the regular model with it, let it go. Don't try to, normally like when you're painting with acrylic, you get paint somewhere, you can like grab another brush and very quickly wipe it away. Don't do that.
Don't do that. It's going to turn out badly.
It will turn out badly because that alcohol starts breaking down your paint like immediately. And when you go to wipe it away, you will just rip up every bit of paint you have, whatever that touched.
Yep, you need to paint over those.
Yeah, you just paint over it later. Yep. But it's such a wonderfully bright, clean gold. Old gold is my particular favorite. Old gold is just the pimpest gold.
Does appear to be the goldiest of golds.
It is pretty gold.
I actually really like the Retributor gold.
I mean, sure, it's one of the better crappy golds. I mean that with all truth and respect. Like, it's not as bad as most other things.
Like, if I was going to get something that sucked really bad.
Amongst the subpar things, it's one of the least subpar. So it's got that going for it.
Well, I like it.
Well, good for you.
I like it good.
I do.
I don't like visible pigment on my models.
This is so terrifyingly fun. Ladies and gentlemen, go out and buy this now. Buy this product now.
You'll probably regret it, but you'll also be very happy. Somehow simultaneously. That's what liquid gold does. It somehow makes you happier than you've ever been with how something turned out while also making you the most angry you've ever been while applying paint. It's a wonderful combination.
So much painty paint.
How's that going on for you?
It's not really as bad as I thought it would be. You guys made it sound like it would be awful. I guess no disaster has occurred yet. Cross my fingers.
No, I mean, as long as you're careful and you got a good acrylic brush, it's fine. It's just, like I said, there are just a couple problems with it. If you do get it on something else, you're screwed. It's stuff like that. It's not a big deal. It's like, it's harder to change the tint of it. You've got to always work over top. Like if you're with acrylic, you can sometimes add inks and mix them in, like mixing, regular acrylic inks and stuff to get different color tints with your gold and kind of do half steps. You can't really do that with those gold paints. They'll, if you put regular acrylic into that paint, it will just have a bad reaction. Like it doesn't react well with acrylic medium.
I would imagine not.
That being said, a little Inkintensity chestnut and you're off to the races, baby. That's all you need. That's all you need. Inkintensity chestnut. The best. If you're doing traditional gold. In your case, I might mix in maybe a little Inkintensity turquoise. Because, of course.
See, the problem is I don't want it.
I do what I want. I had to slip in a Cartman reference.
Really glad I pulled this alcohol over here. It's really helpful.
Yeah, the second pot of alcohol. It also, like, what I'll do is, as I'm working it, because, like, the alcohol evaporates.
Oh, no, it's a disaster. I habitually put my brush into water. Bad choice.
Yeah, you need to not do that.
More alcohol.
Ever again.
But like, what I'll do is as I'm like working with the paint to extend, like that little pot you're working in right there. Like here, I'll lock on your screen so people can see what I'm talking about. That pot of your paint you've got right there. What I'll do is every so often, I'll actually just start dipping my brush into that first. And yes, exactly what you just did. Yep. And that just keeps it, flowing and smooth, right? Because that alcohol that's in there will evaporate quick.
It does have a very terrifying surface tension thing going on right now.
Oh, yeah. The thing it does there where you like that, you can actually see the effect on video where it's like, whoo, like kind of moves. And then the paint itself on the thicker paint, it will like pseudo start solidifying and stuff where the alcohol is evaporated out. So yeah, you need to always kind of mix. Yep. Like I said, it's a unique paint to work with. It's very different. It's pretty worth it though. Pretty worth it. Thoughts?
Well, now I can't really talk that well because it's like you guys terrified me. I have all my focus on this.
We have terrified you. I like that. That's good. Excellent. I'm not afraid. You will be. You will be.
What was that from?
Star Trek. Obviously.
Obviously.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's from Star Trek 3, The Return of Harry Potter. It's the one where Gandalf shows up with the Eagles to rescue them.
I fucking love that one.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Pretty great.
Getting close.
What are you getting close to, Tom? That's the question.
Oh, you know.
You know. This guy over here knows what I'm talking about.
Being done with base coats. Being able to move on to washes.
I like how you have a plan.
I have a very simple painting method.
I wish I had a plan. I never really
Touch
planned.
everything 3 times. I figure out what all the base coats are, and then I touch everything with a wash, and then I go and highlight every piece according to whatever the color scheme is. And then I'm done.
I don't even know what you just said. That's so weird. You're in crazy town right now.
Something about touching himself 3 times? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said, yeah.
Not sure.
Every piece of the model only gets touched 3 times by the brush. I know. It's a foreign concept for you, Vince.
Yeah, I can't even begin to guess how, like, just because of the nature of how I blend things and such. But
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea how you, like, I can't even really tell you how many times that I touched the same spot.
Right. Paul and I have a very similar method in that way, where it's just like, there's a lot of like wet blending and glazing and blah, 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 blah.
Nope.
You just keep pushing the paint around until it looks right.
Nope.
Oh, that looks nice. I'll keep it there.
Need
Maybe
formula.
one time. Yeah. Good old stuff. Well, that seems weird. All right, so now
That's a good lesson, Chris.
all right, so I got these little balls on the backpack here.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, the little balls on the back. And like they're wrapped in these spiky bits that I would guess would be gold. But then if I make them both gold, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I guess
Why
I just
not?
make gold. Just make them both gold. Fuck it.
Make them both gold, but you know, then get back in there with your intensity and get some shading in between them, so you have the dark, light, dark, you know, breakup, right? And you'll be fine. They'll look different.
If only I ordered that intensity when I was planning on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, get on it, man. There's no time like the future or now. Call your local game store now. Tell them you want intensity.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a whole crew to go to LVO, so it'd be pretty sweet if you show up, Vince. Pretty sweet.
I'm hopeful, my friend. We'll see.
He's not gonna go.
Well, like I said,
my translator just called you out.
No, I mean, that's not true. Like, look, there's a bifurcated situation with work. Either I will definitely be there or I definitely won't. There's no middle ground on it, and it's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
Because I could end up having to travel and be there that week or a week before. Well, guess what? I'm not flying to Vegas twice in 2 weeks. But if I'm there that week, then yeah, I'll be there. Like, duh, of course. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much that simple. But we will, you know, time will tell. I would love to come out there. I mainly, it'd be fun to hang out with you, certainly. And I want to compete in that painting competition. Like, I haven't got to compete in the Draconis. I don't have a Draconis award in my shelf. I need one.
You get one for, is that one
It's a participation award.
What did you ask?
Good.
Yes. What did you?
Is that one more of a standard painting competition where it's like a winner and?
Yeah. There's a top 3 by category. That being said, I don't think they put up the rules for what this next year is going to be, and who knows, things can change.
Yeah, it could be a golden demon.
There could be a golden demon this year. I shudder to think I would need months in advance leading up to, which I'm sure I would have leading up to the first golden demon to prepare stuff. It would knock everything else out of my schedule.
Yeah, because you want a golden demon.
I really do. Yes. And the problem is, like, the first competition in America, like the first golden demon in America would end up being so crazy. Yes. Because there's so much pent up desire for it.
When did they get rid of golden demons?
Like 2013 in the States was the last one here.
Have they been doing them elsewhere still?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. They ran them in the UK for a couple years, or sorry, they ran them in Europe and on the continent for a couple years after that. And they've always done them every year in the UK still. Okay.
Is that a continental thing where they'll have multiple golden demons per year? Or?
Yes, there are.
There's a Slayer Sword, which is the golden demons.
Well, technically, every competition has one Slayer Sword. It's okay. Like all of them have a Slayer Sword to them. The most recent golden demon is supposed to be like the big one, the one that happened with Warhammer Fest or whatever. And I guess for that one, they're going to start doing golden Slayer Swords because that's like the biggest, toughest one. The number of submissions to that one and the standard at that one is insane. I mean, it's off the charts. That Slayer Sword, like the first golden Slayer Sword, although it wasn't gold at the event because they didn't have it in yet. So they just gave him a normal Slayer Sword and they're going to switch it later. It was won by Pisarski with the Nagash diorama, which was very worthy.
There's that, like, one of the other, like, lauded ones was, like, the culmination of 5 years of work.
Yeah.
Like, that, 140K scene.
Oh, yeah, the Imperial Guard defending against the Tyranids.
Yep.
Is that the Mountain of Tyranids thing?
No, you're thinking of Last Light. Last Light is Roman. Wait, was that Roman or Raffi? Crap, no, I don't remember. It was one of them from Massive Voodoo. I think it was Raffi's actually, but either way, it was his. That was his piece from. You're talking about the one like Last Light is the one with all the Tyranids killing the Blood Angels and the one like jump pack troop jumping off into the sky as they rush up the mountain like World War Z style.
Probably.
That's one of those pieces that's like a career-defining diorama.
Like you do once per career.
Yeah.
You put your flag in the sand, and then you don't do another one.
Or you don't do another one for like a decade. Because, I mean, he said that took him, Yeah, he said it took him an entire summer and was something like 500, 600, 700 hours of work. I mean, I believe that.
Yep.
You just can't do multiple pieces like that, like year to year. It's just intensity in 10 cities,
Just so much.
I may have put too many colors on these guys.
Nah. No such thing, Tom.
Guys, it's like super, super gold. Like, look how gold he is.
It's crazy, right? Look at how smooth it is. Look at it. Look at it.
So much gold. Hey, Nurgle. I'm gold.
It's time to bust out the Vice City classic, Your Gold. Gold. Always believe in your soul. That's what I'm saying right there. That's a good song. That's a classic. But yes, it's ridiculous, dude. It's that gold, like the finish on it is just unlike anything else. Where you would really notice it is like the tests I've seen where they'll like paint the back of a spoon or something like that. And, you put like that crappy gold that Tom is mentioning and like whatever else, you put the normal golds over a spoon, and then you put this over a spoon, and you just hold them under light, and it's like one of them is just like "Pachow!" Smooth, perfect reflections, and the other ones are like basically like you stuck sort of a gritty bunch of driveway stone, and then kind of spray painted it with Krylon. Just saying.
So I had a really fun experience. My well, I guess now fiance. My fiance's little sister was in town with her family this past week, and she like wanted to paint. But when I say my little sister, I mean she's like 21 or something. Like
totally, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, what are we really talking about here? Okay,
totally an adult. But we were painting. She was painting one of the little I don't know what they're called. The little dude bros, the little horde guys that come with the starter set that are just like little standard soldier guys. The one guy has a hammer, and she's like, "Well, what color do I paint the hammer?" I'm like, "I don't know, like whatever you want. You want to be like stone or like, metal or something? You can do something like that." She's like, "Yeah, like, do you have like a metallic color?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a lot." And she's like, "Well, what about like a stone color?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have that too." What about like a stone metallic color? I was like, I think you want two different things. I don't know what you're trying to do anymore.
Stone metal. That stuff that occurs in nature. Everybody's familiar with stone metal.
I want the stone metal stuff. I was like, I don't know how to help you anymore.
Yeah, I don't have any stone metal. That's hilarious. I think what she's just looking for is gray. I think that's just called gray.
Yeah.
Just look for gray.
Okay. I'm out of here. Night, folks.
Right on.
See you later.
Later.
His endurance is lacking.
Yeah.
Lacking. All right. What are we doing here?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I wasn't going to stick around too much longer. So there you go. I'm also a sissy, I guess, which is fine.
I'm actually close to 2, but that's fine.
I think we were all getting there.
Yeah. This was some interesting doohickey though. I'm excited about messing around with this paint here.
Dude, it's super fun. It really is a great paint. It's like I said, it's worth the challenge. There you go.
Yeah, I think challenge is the right word because like it's really not that much more difficult. Like I could see it being like, yes, you just work with acrylic. I get it. Like, and it's different, sure, but
right.
At the end of the day,
yeah, I agree. It's not like, oh my God, how could I ever actually paint with this? It's not that. You know what I mean? Like, there are much tougher things to mess around with. I think enamels are far more annoying than the alcohol stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It is clearly more annoying than just regular old acrylic paint, right? So,
well, it definitely settles in the palette a lot quicker too. That's what I'm noticing. Like you got to kind of like mix up that palette.
Oh yeah,
pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is correct. You are correct, sir. Chris Smith says, Vince, what is this on the back of the Storm Fiend? Is it a pinky mouse? I can't seem to figure out how to paint it. So my answer to you, Chris Smith, is yes, that's the brain rat that controls the actual Storm Fiend himself. And how to paint him? I mean, I'm sure like a little pinky rat. That's how they look on the box. However, I did not paint any of them because I did not assemble them with their weird brain rats on the back. I just converted them to be having normal backpacks because I hate the brain rats. And I don't think they look good on the model. So there you go. I think those are an abomination that they should not have modeled into there.
Seems fair.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of happened multiple times in their newer models where you're just like, yeah, we could do all this crazy detail. It's like some of that didn't need spiky bits.
Yes, correct. Well, I mean, since they've gone digital, right, with the CAD and stuff, it just becomes so much easier for them to do crap like that. And I get it. Like, I follow a lot of the sculptors on Twitter. Yet another thing you should do. And they're, you know, like they're artists, they're great guys. Like, my favorite one is Tom Walton. He's a great dude, and he shares a lot of awesome stuff, a lot of good art that he used. That's sort of inspiration for him, which I save a lot of because it's great inspiration for painting as well. And, you know, he's a great, like, most of the vehicles that I find compelling, like, he's the one who did them. But sometimes the sculpts just go a little too far, right? Like, the Zangor Shaman is a good example of that from recent memory, where I'm like, did we really need all of that? Probably not.
Yeah. And I need to see the what is it, Mortark, the big guy that's coming out for the
Mortarion. Yeah.
Mortarion. Like, I need to see him in person because someone was like, I want to see you paint that. I'm like, that seems like there's a lot going on. Let me see if I actually like that model before that.
He is a very busy model, no doubt about it.
And like, it could go one way or the other. The business could be good, could be all right, or it could be like, what the hell's going on with this?
Right. Well, and that's kind of my thing with things like the Shaman. I just felt like he didn't need to be that busy. You know, like some of the Zangor, I don't need that level of busyness on that kind of a model. This guy isn't the centerpiece of an army. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like when the Varangard are highly detailed, and I was like, I get it. I get why the Varangard are highly detailed. You're pretty much going to do 3, like, ever.
Yeah,
and yeah, and they're like the swords of Archaon, right? And you know, they're big. They're meant to look sweeter than normal Chaos Knights. And even then, their detail wasn't obnoxious. It was just appropriate, right? When I painted them, I felt they were a super pleasurable kit to paint, to be honest. They're just one of those kits where all the pieces feel right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever stare at something like you just did with those 2 gold pieces and go, why would these be next to each other? You know what I mean? It just... like that moment you just had, I didn't have it all with those guys. Everything was like, yep, this is where this should be. These all should be this color, and it all aesthetically works. Like, it's as though the design was done with the painting in mind. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the biggest challenge I've run into with the Raging Hero stuff. Is the designers clearly were just thinking about what's an interesting design. They weren't thinking about, like, well, how does this actually look when it's painted? At least not to my perception, because they put a lot of bad combinations next to each other where it's going to be hard to get the right effect going. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they had a different image in mind, but that's my perception of it.
I can totally see that. It's just like sometimes you can just get that model and you're like, do it, and you're like, normally I'm okay. I just don't know how to make that different so it looks like something different. Right. But
Yep. Where it usually happens to me is like lots of different types of cloth that are clearly different types of clothing all being next to each other. Like a cloak next to a robe, next to a tabard, next to a belt, next to a shirt, next to a like hangy over straps or something. I'm like,
and then you just like have this hodgepodge robe because you're trying to make them look different. So like,
we've gone too far. I can't do this many different colors, right, or something like that. It's gonna get ugly fast. So. Yep. All right, sir. I think it's about time to call it. What do you think?
All right. Seems fair.
Yeah, indeed. This has been a good one. We got what, like 3.5 hours in? It's solid for our first Paintisode back in a while.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Absolutely.
I feel like I accomplished something too. Nothing too bad.
You got a good test model done. I've continued much work on this secret thing that I'm working on. You got to play with your liquid gold.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it, Travis.
It's caused me to paint as much as I usually do. Nice work.
Yes,
that doesn't sound like we did a good job.
That number equates to 0. That's my good buddy Travis. So that's that guy. See his name right there? That's him, right there. That's who just commented. The other guy who wrote that book with me. So there you go. But yeah, awesome. There we go. We got a good one in. It was good to get back to a Paintisode. Thank you, Paul, for for pinging me on having your free paint time. It was very good and much appreciated. To all of you out there, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the white noise. I hope we let you get some good work in the war against the gray done. We'll probably do some more Paintisodes at some point in time in the future. They'll come back every so often as time allows. It's always fun to hang out with Paul in chat. Now that we've got him back behind the brush, I'm sure we can make it happen again. So there we go. All right, Paul, pleasure as always, sir, for all of you.
Yep.
See you next time.
Everyone, enjoy.